Yes, welcome to Cancon 2019 round 8. We're trying or making sure we've got this audio business going. So if we can get a bit of a sound check from some of the guys and gals on the chat.
And yeah, please let me know how I'm doing. Please let me know how Diffie is sounding.
All right.
Sound is fine. Fantastic. That is great news. We've done a little bit of fill-in, a little bit of good stuff fill-in. Nothing too harmful, nothing too crazy. Adam goes up 10%. That is what you guys need, 10% more Adam. That's what everyone needs, guys.
Let's try that. Adam's good.
Adam is good.
How about Diff?
Adam is great. How about the Diff?
Awesome. Okay, so we are streaming the final top table of an 8-round
epic marathon, juggernaut, gauntlet, crazy town. We have Erik Lathouras playing Tyranids. He is currently the only undefeated player in this event, playing against Leigh, Abbey, who is 6-1 so far. Now, this is Tyranids. This is Gaunt Carpet versus Demon Carpet. And I'll quickly wait a couple of minutes, and then I'll go through these lists, letting you know this is ITC Mission 6, so we have set objectives. There are 5 objectives, in one in each of the... Oh, how did you ever describe that? One 6 inches in from the board edges, from the long edges, one 12 inches in from the sides, along kind of the center cross. Think about a hairline, what do you call the sight on the gun? The cross. What's the cross called? Never mind. It's the side of a gun. Now it's got the cross with a dot in the middle. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Those are the 5 objectives. We'll have those marked on the overlay pretty soon. Looks like Jiffy's in the process of doing that now. But the bonus for this mission is if a player has 3 models with a character keyword in scoring range of 3 different objectives at the end of their player turn, they score 1 point. So if you look at Leigh has done something quite clever to make sure he is able to actually deploy his army quickly. He's brought it on a big disc. I don't even know what that is, but it's just a big, I believe it's a big metal disc, or it's plastic. And so he chucks them all down on this. I have a bit of an echo, guys.
All right. So because of the roaming that we're going to be aiming to do, and we don't want to keep switching headsets like we did in the previous round, then we're just trying just going through the phone rather than...
We might have to just juggle it for this last one. We'll see how we go. Although juggling's not too bad. Prime time Adam. Everyone likes in prime time Adam. So this is the final round of 8. This is quite an interesting kind of final table. So this is first versus third. Matt Morrisoli is in second, he's playing 4th. But because it's 8 games, most of these guys have played each other. Yes. So most of these guys have played each other, so which is pretty crazy. Now, if you see, Leigh's got a bit of it's kind of an overlay, which is under his army, which has got the 7 inches set deployment for being inside the poo tree range and a bunch of aura ranges, things like that. It's actually quite clever, quite switched on. It makes playing an army like this achievable in the time frames.
Yep. And so it is, as you can see, there is a number of different black lines. So he can, probably deploy that on different angles. And I guess his deployment just doesn't change from most games. And to get, we've got movement trays. This is what Horde needs to do to get the job done.
Now, there's something interesting already. So Leigh has... I'll go through the list firstly, before we start deep diving into things. Erik Lathouras, you've seen him on stream once before, but for those who didn't see him last time, he has a Leviathan Tyranids battalion. He has a Malanthrope and a Neurothrope. The Malanthrope is his warlord. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of termagants, 2 25s, 2 26s, 2 27s. So about 180 gaunts on the table. And then for heavy support, he has 2 Biovores. Then he has a Kraken battalion with Old One-Eye, a Broodlord, 3 units of 3 Rippers, and a Supreme Command to round his army out with a Magus, a Patriarch, a Primus, and 18 Pure Strain Gene Stealers. So that, of course, is a Gene Stealer cult Supreme Command. So it's a good list. We've seen it play before. It's very good at winning games and scoring points.
We saw it as the top... So we saw it in round 6 of yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
When he was playing Jeremy Martino, who previously... the previous back-to-back champion.
All right, and over to Leigh Abbey's list. So he has a Chaos Demons. No, he's Chaos Demons. He has a Battalion Detachment, which is a Chaos Undivided. He has a Bloodmaster and a Sloppy Bar Piper. Then he has a Bloodletter Bomb. He has, how many has he got here? He's got 28 Bloodletters. Then he's got he has a total of 180 Plague Bearers, guys, which is pretty clear to see. He has a lot. So the answer is a lot to all those questions. How many has he got? A lot. And then he has, so that's in his second battalion. He's got 2 units in his first battalion. His second battalion is just Nurgle. There's a Proxbringer, a Scroll Prox Scrivener, 4 units of Plague Bearers, again 30s, and then lastly he has a Feculent Armor. So this is one Bloodletter Bomb, and then nothing but Plague Bearers and characters, and 1 Poo Tree. So once again, this is an army that is just very good at winning games. It doesn't kill all that much, but it kills 1 to 2 units a turn, barely gives up any kills, and holds everything on the board. So this is going to be quite the contest, because they're both kind of building off the same archetype.
Yep. It's also worth pointing out, as Adam was mentioning, so Erik Lathouras has played against Matt Morrisoli, who's currently ranked 2nd on the standings. He's played against 4th. He's also played against 6th. He's played against a lot of these people who a lot of the top 10 have only lost to Erik.
Yeah.
No,
to Erik. Yeah.
So we're playing 1 versus 3. Matt Morrisoli is playing against Jerry Martino, so that's 2 versus 4. Leigh, 5 and 6 have already played, so 5 is versus 7. 6 has already played 8, so that's 6 versus 9. It's a really weird scenario because with the 145 players at the end of the 7th round, we had 1 person undefeated, and because we've now gone that one extra round, it gets a little weird. There can be a lot of. We could end up with. Look, if Erik wins, he wins. If Erik loses,
it's not down to points. So many people who can win this, yeah, absolutely. I just had a question. Adam, do you think you reckon your Custodes list could take Leigh's or Erik's list? It's actually, due to the mortal wounds factor, the smites plus the Bireballs, it's actually worse against Erik's than it is against Leigh's. In Leigh's army, all I have to worry about with Custodes would be the Bloodletters getting in and chopping stuff up. Apart from that, I'm going to have a 2-up save against his entire army, which is in good stead with me. The problem is, though, he's going to cap and hold objectives on me with impunity. So if you're playing in that matchup, Custodes versus mass Plague Bearers, you need to get in there very early and start cutting it down. You can't even waste 2 turns with it.
For sure.
Eorx X? I don't know how we say that. Yes, it is a lot of models. Combined, this is probably close to 400 models on the table.
Probably.
So 180 Gaunts, 180 Plague Bearers, plus 30...
there's more than 200.
Yeah,
so there's
more than 400.
More than 400. Be like 450 to 500. So what we're seeing... What have we got?
I think we just go back, dude.
I have...
Yeah, look, we were trying to do something different so the Diffy could get up and roam among the tables at will without having to switch headsets. But yeah, if that's causing a big echo for you guys, we will change back to what we were doing before.
I can also do a bit of a touch to talk as well.
Yeah, we'll give that a go, guys. So let us know if that's fixed the echo. If that has not, please let us know. Chance of this game finishing naturally. Look, there's only 1 game in this event so far in all 7 games that Erik has not finished naturally. Erik has finished every game naturally. He's got every game to 6 turns. And I believe Leigh has as well, but I can't confirm that.
I am unable to confirm that right now. We would be able to confirm that after the event, but I believe most have gone 6 turns.
Absolutely. Epic Cheese had diff are using a 3.5 jack, the one that's hooked into the laptop. I don't know what he means by that. It's beyond my powers.
No.
Okay. Totally not panicked. What is the big circle? That is the way that... okay, we actually looks like we have the start of the game already. It looks like Leigh has gone first, and he has a massive advance on that unit of green. Massive advance. So that's actually big. That's actually quite big for Leigh, because he'll get an early points lead, and he'll be able to start dominating the board. What are we doing? Jumping back onto regular? I think we do, dude.
At least till the other guys join.
Yeah. All right, so Leigh has the top of turn 1, and he's in his movement phase. He's moving up. He's going to advance with the pre-tree. He's going to get +2 to all of those such things. When you can
All
advance
right.
and charge
So
his turn.
if we can just get a quick, clear comment from the chat on whether or not the audio you're happy with it at the moment, that would be great. Regarding Epi Cheese, one is going through the phone. Yeah, very clear, way better diff. Okay.
Yeah, way better. I think we're going to play it like this.
We'll just switch back when I'm doing the roam. Yeah.
That's because it's mine, baby. Yeah. Abuse Puppy. Hey, gents. Sean Morgan has just joined us. Damn, they move fast, those plague bears. Move in 5 or plus advance +2. So they can move up to 12 inches.
Yes, we can hear you. Just give me 1 sec. So we do have Abuse Puppy on.
We both sound good, so we'll see what the ETA on Pablo is, and then we'll jump back in. All right, just message Pablo, Mr. Martinez, the runner of and host of Chapter Tactics. We'll see when he's ready to go on, because Sean Morgan looks like he is good to go.
Sean has joined. I'm just trying to make sure that we don't screw around too much with the audio. So we're going to give... How do we want to do this? All right, I've decided. I'm making the call.
What are you doing to me? Oh my God, Betty, why do that?
What is this madness? I didn't sign up for this.
You can just hit Josh, probably, and not Adam. Would that be fair to say?
This was your ploy all along, to isolate me.
Yeah, okay, so fingers crossed, I'm going to make this work. So,
You guys hear me? Oh, they're just screaming. He's trying to brain wreck me, but taking me off. He's taking me off the air, guys. Cut the cord. Just got the Plague Bears moving up. They're going to take a pretty commanding position, turn 1.
all right. So, Adam,
Still
do you
just
want to have a
movement.
chat?
Still just... Hello?
You chat for a bit?
Chatting. Adam's chatting. He's just moving up Plague Bears, guys. He's going to move up Plague Bears for a while. Have we just been joined by Sean? Are you there, mate? Hey, Sean. How you doing today, dude?
Okay, so
Woke up, hopped on, and get to watch some Warhammer here.
Seems like a good deal, man. What do you think of this game so
Yeah.
far? What do you think of these armies?
It's gonna be real messy. I mean, you can say that much, hardly knowing anything else about it. There's gonna be a giant scrum in the middle of the field for practically the entire game.
Yeah, I agree, dude. This is going to be like a big rolling wall, and whoever takes better advantage of positioning, I think, is going to be the winner here.
Yeah, I definitely would, kind of at the basic level, lean towards the Plague Bearers. They have more relevant buffs they can put up and a better innate stat line. But that said, the Tyranids do have the advantage in model count, and they have a couple really big hitters, so there's certainly the possibility for them to take it still. And as we've seen in the other games, Erik is a fantastic player.
Absolutely. This is some funny comments coming through. Okay, Sean needs more volume, just a tad, a little bit distortion from the US. That's pretty fair.
Yeah, unfortunately, it tends to come through kind of distorted on both of our ends due to the distance.
It's because you're a robot, isn't it? It makes sense.
I am only partially a robot. I prefer the term cyborg American.
Yeah. So it's just you and Grant. What's his first name? Brandon Grant. You and Brandon Grant just
Oh, yeah.
up the 40k scene.
Right? Yeah, we're actually secret government
Yeah.
projects designed to beat 40k.
And then we've got guys
although-
like Peter and Diffie who are like the Borg from Star Trek. They just operate on statistics.
Right? You guys are just machines. I can't believe how fast you come up with some of the stat blocks you do.
Dude, it is literally just hours of us chucking the stats in a freaking spreadsheet.
I know, it's really impressive.
Thanks, man. Pablo's
Oh,
about 15
Jim's
minutes
here.
late. So we are looking at, looks like he's got his third unit of advancing plague bearers. They're moving out to kind of zone off the bottom right-hand corner. So from Eric's point of view, I think it's the hardest one for him to contest is the middle one. That's going to be definitely bogged down from right now, top of turn 1, it's going to be bogged down with probably between 80 to 100 plague bearers. That's if he doesn't make any charges, which he can because of the tree. Now the one on the bottom right, the right of the screen is definitely the one he's probably going to go for. Just looking at where he's placed his characters, on the left-hand side of the board, that is old One Eye. Looks like the Malanthrope is in the middle where it should be. Looks like the Neurothrope is next to that with another character below it, probably their Broodlord. I'm struggling to see where the other Broodlord is, where the Patriarch and the Magus and Primus might be. I'm guessing they're probably in the blue building, if I had to say.
Yeah, I can't really see a lot from this angle, unfortunately. It doesn't give us a great view, but somewhere towards the middle of those blobs would make sense.
Yeah, I think I can see one blue character just above the blue L-shaped ruin, like directly above. There's one small blue character there. That would be either the Magus or the Primus. One thing you can say for Eric's list here, he is going to have magic supremacy, he's going to have psychic supremacy, because I don't believe there are any, I think there might be one Psyker, either the Sloppity Bilepiper or the Scrivener. One of those is a Psyker.
They are not actually, only the Poxbringer, the basic Herald.
Yeah, sorry, I knew there's one of them. He's got a Poxbringer, so he's got one Psyker, Erik has a lot more.
So just let me get one last check and that's before
I can just hear you. It's pretty spotty, but that seems to be the case most of the time.
as far as experience is concerned, how's that?
Let us know how Diffie's coming through, guys. He's about to go a roaming and give us some updates on Table 1 and Table 2.
Hopefully it's come through there.
Alright, Diffie's going a roaming. I still don't know if they can hear it, no one's confirmed it. But they haven't denied it, so that's a good thing.
So what we've got here on the Tyranids deployment, on the far left-hand corner, we've got Old One Eye, which you should be able to pretty clearly see. Near Old One Eye, there is the blue. There's actually two characters. So there's the Patriarch, so the GSC Broodlord looking dude, and then next to him is one of the Magus, the GSC, GSC Psyker. Yep. Then underneath that blue ruin on the left-hand side, pretty much just a couple of gaunt. There's nothing really hiding there. We clearly line of sight of what we need. Then in the center of the table, we've got a Neurothrope and a Malanthrope. And then on the kind of L to, or more like a sideways T-shaped set of crates or containers, we've got the Tyranid Broodlord.
Beautiful.
Okay, and on the demon side, basically it's characters relatively in the middle, and everything else is just plague bearers. We know this list. There's, as we've gone through this before, but there's 180 plague bearers. So you might not be able to see it from top down. So we might struggle a little bit to really clearly differentiate the units. But at the table, it is really easy to differentiate because they've got rims. So from the top-down view, the Nurgle plague bearers on the far right have black rims, then there's red rims, then there's blue rims, and then there's white rims, and then there's a yellowy greenish sort of colour rim, and then there's so a yellow rim and a green. So it's done a really good job of differentiating those plague bearers, which really speeds up this process because you just there's no confusion at that point.
Okay, so we've just had the top of turn 1 completed. It's got 2 points. I'm not sure. It might be I was going to assume it's got to be recon and a hold. Now, he's in good stead to get hold more this turn, because he obviously hasn't killed anything. He's unlikely to kill anything this turn, regardless. They're unlikely to get many kills off each other. The only actual killing things that these guys have on each other is the Bloodletters, the Pure Strain Gene Stealers, and a couple of characters for the Tyranids. So pretty much, I think this kind of hinges on the use of the killer characters like Old One Eye, the Gene Stealers, and the Bloodletters. If they get good mileage out of those, they can really make a big impact on this and start cutting down the horde. Looks like he's trying to get Old One Eye in early, and he's going to try and start getting mileage of him quickly, because he can't be smited out by this army. He's got a good save against him. He's got a lot of wounds, high toughness. But yeah. So look, Old One Eye could be pulled down if he gets, chops a Plague Banner or gets three damage on his attacks. But apart from that, and look, Eric's going to do a good job of limiting the amount of attacks he can get back. Eric might be actually good stead with if he puts all his shooting, all his options into that one unit of 30 guys, he could possibly clear them. I'm going to assume it's because they've got Miasma on them from that card just there. Could you confirm that, Diffie?
I'll just have a look.
Yeah, I would be a bit surprised if he does manage to drop the whole unit of Plague Bearers this turn. It's certainly possible, but with Warp Surge and other stuff, it would be dicey, especially with all the buffs. I think, as you said before, the game is really more going to hinge on those Gene Stealers and the Bloodletters and the Smites that the armies can put out.
I think he needs to
really
absolutely. He needs to be kind of smiting every turn, I believe. Although some of his buffs, some of his debuffs can be quite handy. He's got a couple of fight last powers that he can deploy. That can be very, very useful, especially if he gets those on the Bloodletters. If he can keep that power on the Bloodletters, they almost can't charge. Because they will actually lose plenty to
they'll take too many casualties on the way in.
Also, here's the thing though: the Bloodletters actually will struggle to get through more than probably 60 Termagants, because if he keeps popping Caustic Blood, they're going to drop like flies in return.
Yeah, Caustic Blood will definitely wear him down, but it's important to remember, like, the averages on that are actually fairly low. Like, you pop Caustic Blood and lose a whole unit. Yeah, it's like 6 guys. Oh, that's not great, but
in a
it's
game
not going to cripple.
In a game where his use of that unit is pretty much going to decide his score in this game, I think it's
for sure.
Yeah, very relevant.
So
anything he can do to wear him
secondary
down.
was Recon.
Recon, for sure. It's the only one he could have scored. Do you want to go check on our second table for us? Would that be Martino?
All right. So the secondary is currently selected. Leigh's got Reaper, Recon, and Ground Control, and as I said, he's already got the 1 point for Recon, and they're both got the exact same secondaries. So Eric's also got Reaper, Ground Control, and Recon.
Well, one of them's going to be disappointed on Ground Control.
We could see another 3-2 split here. Given the armies, that's not impossible. I wouldn't be that shocked to see a large number of models still left at the end of this game.
Alright, so it looks like Erik might have finished. Oh no, he's still going with his movement phase. Go check on Morrisoli and Martino for us, mate. They're just back there.
Yes. So the second top table, which is two of the 3 Victorian players on the Australian ETC team who are playing against each other, both previously on the Victorian ATC team that just won the championships last year. So just coming across, looks like not too many of the first Zangor bombers gone, but it looks like it's still first turn. I would suggest it's first turn for Jeremy. Looks like he went first, based on the placement of where the Zangors are, still hiding in a ruin. So Jeremy has a number of mortars as well as the Wyvern. So there's a good chance that the 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 Zangors from his initial Zangor unit have been removed by that. Otherwise, they're out of sight from pretty much everything else. Yes, and then the Plague Bearers, which is front screen unit, he's lost 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of the. He's got a 30-man Plague Bearer unit. So, look, I think it's he's put them in a position where both have to take a leadership check, which could result in a few casualties. but not enough to be overly concerned just yet. But as I said, it's very early on in the game. The round only started. Technically, it started 25 minutes ago. So some of the players started deploying one a little early because the round, everyone knew they were playing. It's not that bad.
So it looks back to our game. Looks like Erik is just dialing up some shots. He's going to be. He's already killed 4 of the plague bearers from that top unit. I'm guessing that's just from smites. A couple mortal wounds here and there. He's looking to do some wounds now. Wonder how many saves we got. Looks like it's just the 1. And I feel no pain. And it looks like no one's dead. So that's 5 dead from that unit.
Yep.
So we've got a second unit of Gaunts ready to dial up.
Yeah, so it's just these are Dawn shooting. Look, depending on how this rolls, I mean, so Erik played not the same list by any stretch of the imagination, but last round played against Hayden Warlock with a whole bunch of plague bearers as well, and managed to kill a whole unit of 30 plague bearers with 1 unit of Gaunts.
He's cutting this unit down right now through. These guys are 6s to hit, and Erik is taking off 6 or 7 by now. I think he's taken off 7 so far. He's just willing to invest everything he's got.
Very impressive.
He's got
hitting on 5. Yeah, hitting on 5s, winning on 4s is not a great place to be.
Another one down.
Yep.
So I think he's done most of his shooting into that squad. I think he's only got a handful of shots left into that squad. And then I'm interested to see if he decides to charge, and if he does, where does he go? Because he could
still got some more shooting.
Yeah, I've got plenty of shooting left, but look, I don't expect this shooting to be doing much to change the status quo. He's going to be cutting down though. It looks like we've got 3 hits, a couple of wounds on this unit.
Yeah, I imagine his plan is to try and dive onto that center objective. You'll notice that Leigh doesn't actually have all that many models within 3 of it.
Absolutely correct.
So it's very possible with a reasonable charge roll for Erik to just flood that with bodies and actually pull the hold more this turn, which is going to be big.
And I think that is the right call to make. And he's also getting a bit of more of a head start on his Reaper by picking up some guys here and there. He's just picked up 3 from that. It looks like a cream and blue with blue.
Yeah, it's a blue rim unit. Yeah. Actually, I think they're not too bad to see from the top. Am I fair to say? I mean, they're pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty visible. Like, I couldn't tell you exactly which model was which unit, but sort of broad strokes, you can see where the units are even from here.
Well, which is quite impressive, I think, because what you find with these sort of horde lists is you can do some tricks like paint the rims, but from a streaming perspective, it doesn't help. The players know what's going on. Which is great, but yes, sometimes to commentate it's a little hard.
I'll just let you guys know that Erik has shot his Biovores at the -2 to hit unit, and he's just decided he would just rather than do some damage, he'd rather spawn some spore mines this turn. And he will be using those to probably zone off and just be a general nuisance.
Yeah, the Biovores, if Leigh has the advantage in sort of like overall raw stats, I would definitely say that Erik has the advantage in utility here.
Absolutely.
He's just got so many tools at his disposal that he can do a lot of work.
That is a very apt call, mate. I think that is spot on.
Yeah, I would agree. I think with the mass plate bearers, on the most part, you know what's gonna happen.
Here's the charge, guys.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, you can still do some nice tricks with rapiding and all that sort of stuff. But as far as, there's a limited number of psychic powers, there's a limited number of strategy, and there's basically one type of unit, and that's it. Whereas with Erik's list, there's a whole bunch of different powers. Spore mines really, can throw a little bit of a wacky impact in the game. We've seen Erik play against Knights before, and I would say he's said straight up, spore mines won in the game. So it's really funny how such a little model that basically costs nothing can affect the result.
Well, and it's also very important to remember that Leigh's list has no shooting at all in it, if I'm reading correctly. So he can't remove those spore mines except by smites, which is a huge waste, or by assaulting them, which is even worse.
Yeah, exactly. And of course he's got he's going to have shadow in the warp coverage from those spore mines. Oh, sorry, from his army onto his opponent, we're giving him -1, and there's a lot of denies he can lay down on that as well. Erik has just charged his second unit into that front unit of the Plague Bearers.
The Spore Mine itself doesn't actually have Shadow in the Warp, only Synapse creatures do, but they are usable, you can key stratagems and whatnot off them when that's relevant.
Yeah, that was what I meant.
Yeah.
If only they were Cronus, he just deny his casting, denies everything.
I
He's
see
going to take
a
that center
lot.
objective without an issue, so Erik will get hold more this turn, and so he should take a points lead.
Yeah, although he is not getting recon, I don't believe.
No, he's not.
Erik?
No, he's not getting recon.
No, Eric's going to really struggle to get into the top right-hand corner.
He might.
Yeah.
With a good pile-in, he could sneak across the line there, but that is going to be difficult. I wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, I think he will concede recon for turn 1. I think he'll be quite happy with that. But I think, I feel as though they're going to hit in the middle, and which we're obviously seeing right now. But we're going to see predominantly Gaunts versus Plague Bearers. That's this game.
I think with all the buffs placed on the Plague Bearers easily win that exchange. They got +1 to hit. They're going to be strength 5. They're going to be extra damage, so that his Leviathan Feel No Pains are going to have extra struggles. But yeah, look, I think this is based on finesse. And it's looking like Erik has gone in this with a very strong game plan. Leigh does not have any Summons Master Strider. Everything in this game is on the board, bar a Spore Field.
Yeah. Recon is actually going to be really interesting here due to Leigh being on the top of turn and being able to deny it to Erik.
Yeah, exactly.
Erik is really going to struggle to get anything into that top right quarter. He may have to put his Gene Stealers back there.
Well, he does have 3 units of Rippers Deep Striking as well. Sorry to say, I just forgot about those. So those should definitely...
It's true, although
100%.
I don't think there's anywhere they can legally be placed up there.
Can Spawn Mines get you recon?
Yes, they can.
They cannot. I
they can. I believe they can get you recon. They can't get you a hold or a hold more.
Yeah, they've changed the wording on them so many times that I'm not actually positive about that.
So, to my mind, if he wanted to, he could put a unit of Rippers in this quadrant, this quadrant, and this quadrant, and safely get Reaper for as long as he wants, really. Because he can easily contest this side of the board whenever he likes, and this side, he might even decide to put all 3 back here and make Leigh turn something around.
Yeah.
All right. We currently have 48 viewers. Thank you so much, guys. Looks like Pablo might be ready to join in any moment now.
Okay. So the wording on Spore Mines is that they can never score victory points or count towards mission objectives, as well as number of models controlling objectives and models left on the battlefield.
So what would be your interpretation of that for Recon?
I would, if I were a TO, I would say that they do not count towards recon, because scoring recon would be getting a victory point, which they're explicitly not allowed to do. However, there's always a bit of wiggle room there. I don't know what the ITC's actual ruling on that is. They've certainly surprised me with a couple recently.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm actually wondering whether Leigh's placement of the Bloodletters was a good idea. Right now they are very far away from the action, with a lot of models between them and getting stuck into anything.
Yeah, I don't think I would have gone for that. I understand why he's doing it, but it leaves him without any real surprises later in the game. And it means that as Erik brings those Gene Stealers in, Leigh is not going to be able to respond to them. He just has to accept where they are.
Here is the damage from the Plague Bearers. In return, he's going to have a 6 up. Looks like he's saved quite a few. Looks like he's lost 4 or 5 termagants there in exchange. I think he will take that exchange every day of the week.
Oh, absolutely. Realistically, Erik can expect to trade not expect to, but he's fine with trading 1-for-1 with the Plague Bearers. Because at the end of the day, he has more tools other than the Plague Bearers, whereas Leigh is basically just Plague Bearers.
Okay. So Leigh will need to do a morale test now. He looks like he's lost 7 from that unit. So he'll need to do a morale now. If he rolls a 1, like, they could all come back. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, this is one of those places where demons can just get lucky. Is if they just, I've seen demon players roll ones on morale 2 or 3 turns in a row, and it gets really bad.
So yeah, I haven't actually seen him roll his morale. Looks like that'll be that. It's there. I don't know what he's rolling so many dice for.
Just
He's just rolled a 1 for that unit. He's got the entire cream unit back.
Yeah, remember that the one of the characters gives him 2 dice, take the lower for morale.
Yeah.
So,
I think he just auto passed on the green squad.
He did, that's correct. He paid 2 CP and auto passed the green squad, and then took the morale on the other squad and rolled 2 dice, picked the lowest, rolled a 1, and then and then got some boots back.
yeah.
So he got, I think he took what I can see looking right now. So 2, 4, 6. He took 7 from the green squad, and originally I believe he took 6 from the technically from here it's the red rim squad, but the cream squad, and he got 5 of those back.
So he needs to keep a tally of that, so they know for Reaper as well, with all the getting back and such.
Oh yes, that's interesting. Because yes, you still look, I'll stay out of that. But
Yep. So he is falling back. Looks like Leigh is falling back with the green squad. Yep, falling back, no issues. He did just jump over a unit with a guy. Never mind. I'm sure Leigh would catch it. Erik would catch it if he had issues.
No, it's fine. It was fine for me.
There was enough. It's because of the tails. You can tell. You can never tell what the actual gap is between models.
It was fine.
Yeah, it should be fine. Yeah, no problems.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like he's falling back because he can fall back in charge. So I'm guessing he's just thinking, hey, I can just fall back, reposition myself as I like, and get a more opportunistic position.
Yeah, the nice thing about Leigh's army here, and the tool he has that Erik doesn't, is that he can freely fall back in advance and do some real shenanigans in combat. So he's going to get to strike first with almost everything.
Yeah, look, he's about to put his entire right flank right into Erik's army.
Yeah.
The big, totally not painful, is the big ass circle. That is Leigh's little tool for being able to make sure he stays within range of the poo tree and that he can deploy himself quickly and easily. So he's got himself a little underlay overlay kind of setup, which has all the aura circles from the poo tree, the aura circles from the characters that he positions specifically to get all the auras wherever he wants them to. So that's a pretty good setup for him. He's cutting down on a hell of a lot of time in deployment just by taking that.
Yeah, he had the entire army pretty much deployed on that dip, and then put the disc down. And basically said, yep, that's an exact number, but something, yep, that's my first 7 deployment. Which I think is I've said for a long time, deploy your horde while your opponent's deploying as well, and speed that up. And he's done that. So, that's how you get all your turns in with 180 play there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're up to...
It's interesting to see him really swinging hard on that right flank there. I'm guessing his intention is to pin Erik in and sort of control that side of the table. Even if he's losing the fight in the center currently, that lets him bring his bloodletters in more aggressively.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm interested to see where he does decide to bring his bloodletters. Looks like he is starting to string some plague bearers out to do what I thought he might do, which is to zone off the Rippers coming in and have an option to charge them because unfortunately with the positioning and the board presence from going first that Leigh has, he's going to be denying recon to his opponent quite convincingly if he can block off the deep strikes from the Rippers.
Yeah, you can see he's stringing just a couple guys back there. I think his intention is to completely deny that corner of the table and make it so that just recon is just no longer an option. Which is very unfortunate for Erik.
If you see where Erik's positioned right now, if he does not, he can quite clearly contest the bottom right, the top left, and of course in his home spot. So as long as he has any position to deep strike in the top right, he can get a recon this turn and hold the other 2 units of Rippers, and then drop another one next turn, holding another unit of Rippers, and get 2 points that way, and only be giving up 1 unit of Rippers at a time. But then he would be forced to drop the last one, and that is if there is any space back there to drop. But I think there would be just from eyeballing it right now.
Those are the interesting. That big disc that he used for deployment is a metal disc, and all the models have magnets under them.
So that's his display board as well, isn't it?
I couldn't say whether that was his display or not, but when he brought that disc over and deployed his army, I was very impressed with how he didn't drop a model. And the reason the ability was magic.
Yeah, well, that little miracle disc he's got, that'll do. I've seen a lot of people do that magnetic trick, which is actually super helpful for moving models around. Although I have had bad experiences with magnets in the bottom of models. They tend to grab a hold of everything. But I certainly see the advantage there.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, he's created a little funnel for those bloodletters to start getting closer, getting more relevant. And see where he's got a... it's almost it's almost a phallic symbol with those plague bearers in the bottom right. And he's creating this hollow for him to shoot his bloodletters down and to engage those termagants and start getting some real kills. But he's not going to be doing that this turn. It looks like he's already cut himself off. We're going to do a headset swap?
He may not be cut off. That's pretty long charge, so I wouldn't think he can go for it. He does have the 3d6 mana, right?
He does have the Banner of Blood, he does. So he could go for it if he wanted to.
Yeah, it's dicey, though.
Yeah. I think... I think this is going to decide a lot of the game right from this turn. How much of the board he takes up, how much of the termagants he cuts down. I think he's placed quite well to only lose a max of 2 units. I don't think he's going to lose 2 units either. The unit in the top left that's strung across that line, he's probably not going to use that whole unit. He might use half of it. But the one in the bottom right, whatever's the front unit in that bottom right, is going to cost 60 plague bearers. They are strung out, so who knows how many he's going to actually get into combat. But that one should be quite depleted by the end of this turn.
It's certainly going to do some damage. Honestly, though, I don't think there's going to be any single decisive turn in this game. It's going to be such a slow, grinding battle.
I think there is going to be a decisive turn, and I'll tell you why. Eric's got this top left-hand corner, and is really quite well positioned to bring his Gene Stealer cult units in there, and swing in there with Old One Eye as well. So he can slingshot Old One Eye and the Gene Stealers into that flank, and possibly pick up 1.5 units of Plague Bearers in a single turn.
It's true. The Gene Stealers, where they come in and what they do is going to be really huge.
Absolutely massive. It could decide the game. Now the risk with the Plague Bearers is if he gets too close, he can start to lose them to Flesh Borers. Enough Flesh Borer shots can cut down that unit very quickly, hitting them on 3s, rerolling and winning them on 3s, rerolling 1s. So hitting them on 4s and winning them on 3s, rerolling 1s can start to cut them down very quickly. And if they get below combat effectiveness, if they get below the 20, all of a sudden they're a lot worse.
Absolutely. I think he's hitting on 5s, because termagants naturally hit on 4s.
Oh, but it's against bloodletters, so not plague bearers.
Oh, sure. Sorry. I thought I heard you say plague bearers there. Yeah, if he gets to shoot those bloodletters, they're in real trouble.
I think we have had Pablo join us. Are you in, mate?
I am. Here I am, guys.
Well,
I came in a little bit late. Looks like Erik and Leigh are playing right now.
Yeah,
that's correct, mate.
It is a massive scrum here.
Yeah. Horde Hammer is alive and well in Australia, guys.
Yeah, and everywhere. Don't worry. It's not just you guys. We've had a couple players in the US even running lists not dissimilar to Erik's and having a lot of success with it.
Yeah.
Although they've included a lot more Gene Stealer cult, because they'll bring like 150 Termagants and then like 60 to 80 Gene Stealer guys.
And they also had a very strong psychic presence. I remember chatting with Nick Rose at ETC about the list he brought there, which was heavy Termagants and heavy psychics. So he was locking people down with Termagants and then just smiting into combats and doing a hell of a lot of damage there.
Yeah, and you can see Leigh there is out to spread across that quarter there to try and deny Erik the ability to assault in and grab that objective or get onto that table quarter.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be enough, but...
He's still at the spore mine and the spore field in reserve as well, so that's going to become very relevant soon too.
Those 5 points, obviously we're in the top of turn 2 now. Erik got a small lead on Erik got a small lead on Leigh, got hold 1 and hold more versus Leigh's hold 1, and then Leigh got and then they did both get recall. So keeping in mind that objective is in smack bang center of the table, which is currently surrounded by Tyranids, he must have had enough the models into the appropriate zones. So whether or not they'll be able to continue that going forward is a story. But it is. We thought, I think it was a comment. I think we all thought it might be hard for him to get recon first turn, but so he got it.
Looks like we've got some Overwatch being produced now. Looks like it's probably some flesh borers shooting at the plague bearers getting charged. He's just cast Miasma again on that green unit, the same unit that's been depleted a little bit. So I think that's a good call. I think stopping up that side of the board is correct. What I am seeing now though is Old One Eye can still make a decent charge into the top L-shaped ruin. If he uses the Kraken stratagem, he can Kraken because he's 3d6. So he can move up to 14 inches and times that by 2, which is up to 22, I believe. So he can easily make that one and ignore that -2 unit, and he can start getting some work in on them. And then then that is actually a big issue for Leigh because all those characters around the poo tree then become vulnerable.
It's true, although Old One Eye is fairly vulnerable to being dragged down by the Plague Bearers. He'll certainly kill a decent number of them, but if they get some good rolls and he just fails a few 3-ups, and Lord knows it's easy to fail a 3-up, he could go down really, really quickly to those 2 and 3 damage hits.
That is true, yeah, the 2 and 3 damage ones is the ones to worry about. I suppose he can save CP rerolls for the 2 and 3 damage, but look, I think he just literally needs to get him in quick so he can just start cutting down on the Horde and getting up on those Reaper points.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I certainly think that's a good call and a good move up that way, but it's definitely something with some risks involved. I had a Riptide lose 11 wounds to Plague Bearers in a single combat phase, just because you fail a couple saves and they go down.
Yeah. Look, Leigh looks like he's going to try and project through that Termagant squad and try and start tapping some other units of Termagants. Yep, looks like he does. Just done that just then. Yeah, he's going to go through that gap. He's going to try and start tapping some other squads just to lock down some shooting in his phase. I'm not quite sure if that is the right call. There are 2 Broodlords back there. There you see the Patriarch just behind that. I'll just circle him for you. There is a Patriarch right here, and I think that's a Neurothrope here, but there is another Broodlord out here somewhere. There might be there. That might be the Broodlord. So they could all get very relevant very quickly against that incursion.
They could, although the way the Termagants are placed, they won't be able to heroically intervene, so that keeps them out of combat for at least a turn.
You have to fall back around them, and then have them charge in, which I think is the right call regardless, because staying in combat is not what Erik wants to be doing right now.
So keeping in mind that we've also got Old One Eye that we mentioned in that top left-hand corner. But also in the...
Can you say that again? What's in the top left corner?
So obviously we've been talking about Old One Eye being in the top left-hand corner. Don't forget we've still got the Patriarch that's in that rough kind of area as well.
That's literally what I just said.
Yeah.
Lovely work. Sorry, I was being asked if we could provide a dice box.
Nice. Pablo, what are you seeing from this game, mate? What are your predictions? What are your thoughts?
I actually, unfortunately, just jumped in there, guys. While you guys were out on lunch, I had to take care of my daughter for a little while. So what I'm seeing so far is a bunch of bodies, and Erik tendriling like he does, like he's been doing every single game. And before I guess I get deeper into the game, I just want to congratulate Erik. He is currently beaten 2 out of the top 4 players right now at Cancon, and if he wins this one, he'll have beaten 3 out of the top 4 players in Cancon, with himself being the 4th player, which is an insane feat.
Absolutely. He's definitely run the gauntlet.
His strength of schedule has got to be out of control at this point.
Yeah, absolutely obscene. Yeah.
Yeah, Erik's strength of schedule is massive, and because of there being 8 rounds, and at the end of round 7 we had Erik undefeated, being the only undefeated. Coming into this 8th round, we were talking about it a little earlier, it got really, really weird with pairing. Because
I imagine.
First had already played 2nd, so first played 3rd, 2nd played 4th, and then 5th and 6th had already played each other, so 5th played 7th, then 6th played 9, like it was all, it's crazy,
Yeah, that is what happens when you have sort of the bonus round like that. You can get in some really weird situations. It's certainly interesting to see, although having been in that position before, it can feel very annoying to sort of have to like, well, here's one more round where I can lose but can't gain anything.
We had to get a time check. How much time's left on the clock, Stiffy?
So there's 1 hour and 48 minutes left in the round. So plenty of time. Well, I say plenty of time, but we are still only the top of 2.
But they're moving relatively quickly.
They are.
Erik's turns have just been blazingly fast as always, and even though Leigh is certainly taking a little more care here, I think he needs to. It's kind of on him to lose this match. So he definitely needs to.
Okay, never mind, guys, never mind. It just looks. Never mind. Sorry, guys. Keep going. Just seeing something that I think's a bit of a stretch, but it's all good. What's on table 2, man?
So the second top table, just come back to Joey Marigold Martin with his Death Watch. He's currently on 1 loss, 2 loss. I can't remember exactly how many losses he lost. Basically, he's playing against Matt Morrisoli, who we now finally... Matt Morrisoli. So the results for, I think, 8 Victorian events literally have just gone through.
Wow, they've gone through?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So Matt is comfortably... Well, sorry, not super comfortably in the lead in the ITC rankings.
Matt, I think, is 10-ish points. I'd have to double check. Ahead on ITC. The results were with basically off on my game for a little bit. There were some issues with tokens. It all got sorted, and then there was some more issues. He's 2 points ahead. All right, so just getting a confirmation from the lovely Chelsea. Matt number 1 Morrisoli, is 2 points ahead. So it's not a massive jump. So the champion, the Australian ITC champion, the top 2 of the top 3 are still in contention to take out the LVO trip in 2020. That being Leigh Leigh Abbey on the stream right now, and Matt number 1 Morrisoli on table number 2.
That's very cool to see.
Is Erik anywhere near that, or no?
No. So Erik has had started pretty slow to the year. He's from a state called Queensland, the top northeast of Australia, and I don't think anyone from Queensland would disagree that their scene has been a little hit of the last year or two with a few of the cliques not getting along, and so they haven't had big events. So pretty much Simon Gutchvik is the only Queenslander who's relatively high in ITC points, and that's because he's travelled to get them. Not many people in Queensland are up there, whereas Victoria and New South Wales have had a number of large events, and they're also neighbouring states where a number of the players have travelled to each of the states' events. So you find New South Wales and Victoria have the largest player base, I believe, and Western Australia's up there as well. They're starting to get a few people pointing in, but the thing with WA is we're seeing not too many of the same people keep taking out the gold. Because in Victoria, Wales, Leigh Abbey and Matt Morrisoli have been dominating Victoria, and even when they travel interstate, and Chris Wright, who's now I think ranked number 2 in Australia, he's been dominating New South Wales. So it's we've had the same people win regularly, whereas other states have had a much I guess broader number of players taking out podiums.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is worth kind of remembering is like when you see those same players winning event after event, even as the formats change, the meta shifts, the game changes, additions, like that really does kind of show that like this is about player skill at the end of the day in a variety of different ways, but it's not just random.
Oh, 100% agree. Yes, to get up there as in the top echelon of like ITC rankings and so on, you do have to travel. At least in the US, you can't get away with just staying local. You have to go and travel to the big ones, and the same thing happens over here. If you're not willing to travel, and that's fine. Like not everyone is. Yes, it's cool to be higher than your mates and whatnot. But some people either A, don't have the income, B, I know a number of players in Victoria, for example, will only rock up to one-day events, not two-day events, because either A, they've got families, B, they've got work on the weekend. So you end up having a situation where those players, if they win them, winning a three-round event with like 30 players gets you basically nothing.
Quick update of table 2, please. Can we just get a score check, please?
Yes, sure can. So I'll see if I can find a score sheet. Seeing the score sheet. Oh, yes, I am over here. So we are in the top of turn 2. Jeremy went first and got hold 1, and Matt got hold 1, hold more. Neither of them killed anything in the first turn, and neither of them got any secondary. So far the first turn's been quite low scoring. But the bombs have been heavily depleted. The screens and whatnot have been heavily depleted. So the played the screen, I believe, just died in turn 2. I said top of turn 2. And the second, and the minor Zangle bomb. So I think the second bomb's like ish. Looks like it's pretty much depleted or potentially dead. So at the moment, all that's on the table is ITC, is characters, and a unit of brimstone.
Fair enough. Maybe you should come back and rejoin us for a bit, mate.
Yes, I'll come on back.
Yeah, we've had some shifts in the combat in the center of the table. It looks like Leigh has cleared out quite a few of those Termagants there,
yes, he has.
And locked off a lot of the other ones that would have the potential to get in. So it may not be very long before he is taking that center objective back.
Yes, it could be. Well, right now it still looks like Erik has the majority of models on it, but I can't see. There's probably another unit under there, which is possibly getting quite a few models into combat. I actually think this turn is going a little bit long. We're at an hour, we're an hour into this game, and this is the top of turn 2. So I don't think that is boding well for this getting a conclusive finish.
We may see the players actually speed up. I couldn't see if they were actually using the chess clock. Leigh is certainly taking the lion's share of the time here, so that may put him in a very bad place. Managing your clock is a really important skill with an army like this.
Absolutely, and he's made a lot of efforts to make sure that he can do it, e.g. saving a lot of time in deployment, with having all his auras and things measured out. I think Diffy's just going to go have a look at that chess clock and see what timing is on it.
Pretty even.
Oh, really? Okay.
Erik's on 55 minutes left versus Leigh, who's on 45 minutes left.
Oh, wow. Yep,
Okay.
That's cool.
Or thereabouts. Didn't want to get too close.
It's interesting. I would have expected Leigh to be a bit lower on time
same.
than that.
I would have thought Leigh was well and truly on much less time. But keep in mind, we still have like 3 more combats to resolve.
Things are certainly not done.
Interesting developments. Very interesting developments.
I think Erik's turn 2, I think, is where we're really going to see whether or not Tyranids have enough in the tank to get the job done.
Is the timer still on Erik at the moment? Oh yeah, it was still on Erik. Okay. Never mind. That's probably just cost Erik a minute, but that's all right. These things happen in a game.
It's happened both ways.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about just the strict rules of it, like it is on Erik and Leigh to manage that.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's both of their jobs.
Yeah.
I think at Cancon, Jen was from the TOs, have been, yes, it is the players' ability to make sure they're the right people. However, if your turn and the clock is on the wrong person, it's frowned upon you.
There's certainly an aspect of sportsmanship there, and I can certainly see TOs kind of putting in some penalties or whatnot if it's clear someone is abusing that. But the reality of it is like it is your according to the ITC packet, I believe they say that it is your right but not obligation to switch the clock over at any given time.
Exactly right. Pablo, you're being pretty quiet, mate. What are you thinking about this developing game?
There's really not a whole lot to say right now. With these games, especially at the top of turn 2, as we saw with the Jeremy game, when Jeremy played that Dark Eldar player, when we saw the Dark Eldar player play the Chaos Demon player earlier yesterday, the Dark Eldar player killed all of the Plague Bearers, and most of them anyways, turn 1, but then turn 2, obviously, the Chaos Demon players are pulling out. It's too early to call. I am looking very closely at the clock right now. It looks like Leigh's on the top screen, correct? So it looks like Leigh's time is going. So if I were Erik right here, I'd really just watch that clock and just try and do as little as I can to spend my clock.
Yeah, same here, man. I think Leigh is it's only his turn 2. I think his odds. Well, he should be clocked out at turn 4 if we make it there. At this rate, he's gonna have under 40 minutes left at the start of the bottom of turn 2. It looks like. Well, that would be my prediction.
Yeah. He's almost to 40 minutes right now. He's definitely having more trouble managing his clock than Erik is. Erik, as we've seen, is a lightning fast player.
And he has done a lot more movements though. He's doing a lot more precision with his movement. He's got a lot more attack, a lot more piling.
He just has more actions to take, realistically.
Right. He's just going to wear his clock down.
The other thing worth pointing out is the mindset of the players.
Yeah,
and what I mean by that is Erik, historically, when I've discussed when I've chatted with him, especially about his gaunts, like I asked the other night, would you deal with gaunts going in a 3-point if they had no gun? And he goes, I just want the body. I don't care if they don't have attacks. Like he's not. So you'll notice that he only moves some of a unit, and the rest that are trailing back to where they need to don't even move. Whereas what you're finding is Leigh wants to actually do the damage output, and so what you're finding. Yes, he's still trailing back quite a bit, but then, especially right now, he's starting to push deep into Erik's line. He's trying to get more models in, which is fine, but as a result, he's using more of his clock than Erik is because Erik's not even attempting to really put out that much damage. I think Erik will be basically aiming for hold one as much as he can, and then dealing with not dying. If you look at the table state, there's a big gap here and there's still some models, obviously the top L shape.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with square shape, Jay. The L shape's really the top one. Anyway, I digress. So I think we'd find he's going to try and, I'm not sure if slingshot's the right word, but I think he's going to try and dominate this area, push down.
Well, look, if he decides to dominate that top left-hand corner, so the top middle objective, I think he very much can, almost at will. It's the middle portion that I think if he clears, he'll probably win this game.
Absolutely.
But keeping in mind, Erik's only had one turn, so I think if turn 2, Erik is able to clear this section, and then on turn 3, start clearing this section. He's keeping the Bloodletters out of play.
Well, the Bloodletters have got a huge, strung-out wall of 2 Plague Bearer units to move through to try and get into combat. Firstly, it's hard to move them out of the way because they're strung out so much, even with a good advance roll. And even if he does leave himself gaps between them, he's still limiting how many he can get through to make base contact. So I think it's pretty favourable for him. And especially if he makes those Bloodletters fight last, he cannot actually commit to any reasonable combat with either Old One Eye or the Gene Stealers. He actually literally can't commit.
He probably couldn't even commit fighting last and get charged by a couple minutes of gone.
Well, he doesn't need to fight. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
as Master Strider in the chat has pointed out, when those Gene Sewers come in, what they do is huge. If they fail their charge this turn, that actually puts Erik in a not great position.
Massively, yeah.
Because then the Plague Bearers are charging them, and they're going to get a fair amount of damage in before they get to do anything. Yeah. But if they succeed their charge, which odds are they do, between command points and stratagems and everything else, they have really good odds of getting in. He can probably sweep that like middle upper left, and then start bringing it in on the characters and eating Leigh's army out from the middle, which is really bad for him.
I just thought of a really, really good play right now to stop those bloodletters. See, there is a funnel for those bloodletters right now that Leigh has made. If you want to outline that for it, it's a bit phallic. Don't tie it off at the end. Put some fireballs into those guys and wall that space off with spore mines. And then he'll buy himself another turn from having to care about it.
Although you cannot place a spore mine within, I think, 6 inches of any model.
It's 3 inches.
When it comes down,
I believe.
Is it 3?
I'll double check for you. I can pull the decks up pretty quickly.
I'm curious.
So if it is 3 inches, I guess the question is whether or not Leigh has, whether or not what the distance here is between the two funnel-like strings of Plague Bearers are. If it's 6 inches, then it's not an issue.
Okay. So it's 6 inches from the target and 3 inches from anything else.
Okay, so he could put the one potentially, depending on once again what the distance is, roughly around here.
It has to be more than 12 inches, and it's not. I was incorrect, guys.
No. It's 6 inches from the target.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes, he absolutely can then.
So he can potentially put some here, but the thing is they would
easily be able to go around.
Just go around.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to get.
No, you're absolutely right.
So the Plague Bearer string could be stopping any significant impact from the mine. But I will see what Erik's now going to do with his characters and whether or not he's going to start, as I said, pushing them in. We are still in the
bottom of 2.
No, I think we're piling in.
Oh, yeah.
Top of 2.
Yeah, we're still top of 2.
Yep. So there wasn't. So the Plague Bearers had a swing. They didn't do much damage, and now the Gaunt's going to have a swing, and realistically, they're not going to do much damage.
No.
So
at this point, do you know what I would do? I would actually forego my Gaunt attacks to save time.
Yeah.
100% I would.
I think it's still in Erik's interest. He's so far ahead on time to actually roll things out, just because he needs to try and get that attrition in. But you'll notice that Erik is very good about managing his clock as he pops it right back over to Leigh as soon as he's done doing whatever. So he's certainly playing for time, and if he can get Leigh on the death clock, then that's easily going to win him the game.
Yeah, 100%. Look, if Leigh runs out of time, this is all she wrote. Either way, I believe. But look, Leigh could, well, as long as Erik stays relevant points-wise, as long as they stay close to each other and he stays in touch. But look, they might not run out of time. There's still an hour and 30 on the clock. Yeah, I think we've just had a question about the the score updates.
So much time. We're locked it. They closed it.
So that Broodlord has just moved out. Looks like he's going to be getting into the action this turn. He's also moved out his Malanthrope.
Yeah, I would expect
Neurothrope. And there,
I would definitely.
Sorry?
I was going to say, I would definitely expect Erik to start sending his characters in because that's where he gets a lot of advantage.
Yeah,
no Master Strider, they're on bottom of 2.
Yeah, this is the bottom of 2, guys.
Yes, just going into Erik's turn. They are looking at updating scores. One of the TOs, to make sure that speeding this up, has taken control of the ITC, the score sheet that's on the iPad, so the players don't have to, at the end of their turn, deal with it. Because of, I guess, the stakes of this game, I think people are fairly tense, and so they're trying to remove as much tension as possible and make sure the game goes all right.
Look, there goes Old One-Eye. He's got a big advance with Kraken. He's going to go straight into that green squad, and he's going to go start pushing into the center of the board.
I'm really curious. Oh, he's going more towards the center than for that L objective. That may mean he's going to try and put the Gene Stealers into that upper objective.
100%, I believe he will. The Patriarch has just moved in to get into combat with that green squad as well. Looks like he's investing a lot in removing this green squad, even though they've got Miasma. Between a couple of Smites, a Patriarch, and Old One Eye, I think they've got decent odds of taking out the rest of that squad. It is depleted. They lost about 7 or 8 guys so far, possibly 9 or 10. I didn't quite count if they lost any in reprisals from Erik this turn. So it's quite possible they might even be down below the half for the start of this phase.
It could definitely be.
Down below the 20. My mistake. Erik does have mind control from the Magus. Well, sorry, he has the option to get mind control. I'm not quite sure what power he does have.
I don't actually know what he picked, obviously, because he hasn't used any of them. It's not really visible. I would have grabbed Strength from Beyond and Mind Control as my 2 powers.
Yeah. So tell the people what Strength from Beyond do, and tell them what Mind.
Strength from Beyond is honestly one of the best buffs in the game. It's +1 attack and +1 strength for a Gene Stealer cult unit, which is just insane.
Here come the Gene Stealers, guys. Look, they've rolled at least a 5. For the deployment, they might have rolled a 6.
Oh, that is super bad for Leigh
really
up there.
And they are so far away from the Bloodletters with so much stuff between them. If he slingshots, he picks up 30 Bloodletters from that top middle squad, and he picks up the green squad. This is a huge swing.
Yeah. Do we know, did he just get like the 4 up there, or did he get a 5 or 6?
I actually think I should ask Diffie. Diffie's unplugged his mic so we can help with the iPad. I'm not quite sure what he has rolled. The Primus has come in with them.
Sorry, what was the question?
Do you know what he rolled for his Cold Ambush? Did he get the 6? Did he get the magic 6?
It does not look. He
freaking did. He got it. He got the 6. He's going to be 1 inch away. He's going to auto charge.
Yeah, that's just about game right there.
Oh man.
So he could be picking up 70 to 80 Plague Bearers this turn, if all goes according to plan.
How many?
Sorry, 50 to 60. I said 70 to 80.
He could, honestly, oh no, those aren't, I was going to say, he could fight twice, but they're not Tyranid Gene Stealers, so he can't.
Yeah, unfortunately. But he has good chance he's going to pick up 30 Plague Bearers at the top.
Master, I don't even think he multi-charges, he just aims for clearing out that
just
one unit up there. Yeah.
I was just going to tell you about a result that just came in. Adam Talit versus Jack L. It was Gene Stealers?
Kraken Gene Stealers versus Yanari.
41 to 1 to the Kraken Gene Stealers.
Oof.
Oh my god. Naturally, a lot of the time in an 8-round event, unfortunately, if you are at the bottom tables and you are getting absolutely paddled, people are exhausted. They don't put up much of a fight if they're on the back foot. So, this is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that Yanari versus Tyranids matchup is really rough, although it's certainly winnable for Yanari. Yanari has some fantastic...
Absolutely. But all it takes is a misstep in deployment, and you can lose shit. You can lose your Vrain, you can lose your Reapers, you can lose your Shining Spears after turn 1. And that's always the risk. It's almost a mirror match, but the Yanari have some more tricks. The Gene Stealers are just a little bit more dynamic, which is really weird to say against Yanari.
Well, yeah, actually, if you guys are familiar with Colin Sherman from Best in Faction, he played Tyranid Gene Stealers and then switched into Yanari and said they are practically the same army, just Yanari have more tricks, Tyranids have more bodies.
Yeah. I look like we're picking up a bunch of the green Plague Bearers. That's probably from Smites. He's probably just done a couple of Smites at the same time. And now we are jumping into another section. Josh, can you tell us if the Spore Field has hit the table and where it is, please?
So just having a look around.
Because I didn't see him deploy it. He may have, and we didn't see it.
I sure didn't see it. I've been kind of keeping an eye. I don't see any spore mines anywhere, so...
I don't see them either.
No, there's none.
Exactly. They are pretty conspicuous, and they do blend into this mat. They did this at last game we saw. They do kind of match the terrain. So I think we're good though. I don't think
that natural camouflage.
He has just placed 3 spore mines though, and they have. He's just placed them behind the Bloodletters.
That's probably Biovore's fault firing,
that was from the Bibles, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because he's got a nice little gap back there that prevents the Bloodletters from sweeping around and going to those Gene Stealers as easily.
Exactly right. Exactly what I thought he was. Yeah, exactly my thoughts too, man. We're reading each other's brains.
the other interesting play for Erik is obviously we've talked about time management here. Leigh's done a great job, obviously, with the deployment disc or the deployment frisbee, I think we'll nickname it, as well as the movement trays and the bloodletters. One of the things Erik can do to, of course, help him with the time management is do things that make Leigh get off those bloodletters off the movement trays. So those spore mines are potentially, like, he can walk around them, but he probably can't walk around them while on a movement tray.
No.
Can you so, do Gene Steals not have fight twice? The pure strains?
They do not.
Okay, because he's done an interesting move where he stringed out his Gene Stealers to get them across the bottom into that green squad also. I'm hoping he's not going to try and fight twice. Maybe hopefully he's good enough to know that. If he does.
I'm sure he doesn't. But Strider may have the right idea there. Is if he knows he can wipe out that top squad pretty hard. So he's in there kind of tagging in a little bit on some extra combats to basically prevent Erik or Leigh from having as many options in terms of where he moves and what he does.
He's just charged, by the way. Old One Eye has just made it into that green squad. The Patriarch has just made it into that green squad. And looks like he's going to put the Malanthrope in so that when that green squad dies, he's going to give out reroll ones to hit into wound to his entire army.
Yeah.
So, I believe, for those interested in the CP count, I believe the Nibs player, so Erik, has CP. And if I'm reading right, the 6 and the 4 in the middle of the table, that could be Leigh's CP. I might just get a confirmation of where those
I believe that is correct. That is, I saw him moving it earlier when he used things, so...
Yeah, so at the moment they've both got a fair bit of command points left.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how many Chip got left up our sleeve with a couple of players with strats.
Well, the reality of it is that Tyranids have much better stratagems than demons do. Demons definitely have some good things. Warp Surge is really useful, although the timing on it is awkward. And fighting twice with the Bloodletters is, of course, fantastic. But the Tyranid stratagems are just out of control. There's so many good options there.
They've got the Holy Trinity, as I like to call it. Better movement, better fighting, better shooting.
Yeah.
You know what might actually help Leigh right now is if you ran some Demon Princes.
Well, look, he used to run an army very similar to Matt Morosoli's, which was a bunch of smites behind the Plague Bearers. And every time he makes another iteration of this list, he adds more Plague Bearers. So it's really quite interesting.
Yeah, I actually am not a big fan of the Bloodletter Bomb these days. If I were him, I would swap the Bloodletter Bomb out for at least one caster, and I would try and find just that Thousand Suns detachment of just like Ahriman and 2 friends, and suddenly that changes this matchup a lot. Because as you can see, the Bloodletter Bomb isn't really pulling its weight here.
Yeah, 100%.
And it won't ever pull its weight.
Not to the degree you need it to in top-level games, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got the Pure Strains piling in and about to attack. So we're about to see probably that whole unit be picked up.
It's also worth pointing out that at the moment...
they're going to get hit. Oh, that's why... Sorry, guys. That's why he strung out the Gene Stealers down there, to get the +1 to hit from the Patriarch.
So, I'm not sure if you guys can see this as clearly as I can from table view. So the Gene Stealers, which of course we just saw come in up that top left-hand corner, hitting the L-shaped-ish ruin, banging at its blue characters as well, which I believe is one of the Magus.
It's the
Primus.
Primus, yeah.
Sorry, Primus.
+1 to hit and ignore morale.
So
ignore morale is also surprisingly big.
They're going to be hitting on 2s, guys, ignoring the -1 to hit because he has +2 to hit, and they are going to be winning on 3s, I believe. Is it true that Pure Strains got +1 strength, or am I tripping? Hello, Sean and Pablo, have we lost you guys?
Sorry, you're a little spotty here. I didn't catch the question.
Apologies. Why do I think Pure Strains are strength 5 for some reason?
You're really coming through in chunks here.
Apologies. Why do I believe that Gene Stealers, pure strength Gene Stealers, can be strength 5? Is that one of their powers?
You got to type out the question. It is censoring every time you get to the relevant part of the question.
It's like someone's trolling you. It's pretty funny.
I haven't changed anything. I haven't touched anything.
Thanks, Master, in the Twitch chat.
You get really excited. You talk very quickly.
Yeah, and every time you get to the "is it true that Gene Stealers are," and then it immediately blanks out. They are not normally strength 5. They get +1. They can get +1 strength from any of about a dozen different sources.
Yeah, the banner.
The banner. There's the we mentioned earlier. It might be from Beyond Psychic Power.
Yep.
I want to say there's also a character buff other than the banner. There's a lot of things that give him +1 strength.
So look, he's looks like he's just rolling probably only the first round of his attacks.
Oh yeah, that is probably just like half of the Gene Stealers up there or whatever. They throw an insane number of dice.
We also just like a quick chat. I know the audio from Adam is causing more spotty, but can we get a confirmation for the chat, stream chat, whether or not that's just Discord being its thing, or whether or not it's the headset?
We have a possible podium score just come in. Liam Hackett, who is has just gone 7-1. He just scored a 37-10 against Jeremy Young, I believe. So that was the Meganov army we watched yesterday, guys. Just went 7-1.
That's solid.
He's all but cinched in a third place, I believe, if not a second place, depending on the other scores.
Yeah. So basically, that was a big win. If Erik wins this, Liam will jump Leigh. If Leigh wins this, but not by very much, Liam will still jump him. And what else? Whereas
Matt,
if Leigh wins this game, he still doesn't guarantee to finish higher than Erik. So Leigh is on going into this round is 6,215 Swiss points versus Erik's 7,231. So Erik is 15 points and a win ahead. So if Erik loses this game, but loses it by less than 15 points difference, he still beats Leigh.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be, as I said, it's going to be very strange to see what the podium's going to be.
Yeah, this is Erik's tournament to lose right now.
Huh.
Leigh, what? What happened?
1 second. Never mind.
I don't know. I think there's something going on the organizational end of things over there, so we'll let them deal with that.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, Mansky, as far as the placings go, it looks solidly like Erik is taking the #1 spot here. I think he's hard-pressed not to. Leigh, whether he wins this or not, is probably #2 or #3, although I think he's a loss. So the other table that we just had come in where we have a 7-1, I think is going to take the #2 slot over Leigh, kind of regardless of what he ends up actually getting out of this one. And beyond that, I don't actually know the rankings offhand. I didn't have a chance to look through all of that before I jumped on here. So
there's a couple more guys. So basically everyone who's in the top 4 tables or the top 8 technically has a shot, with the exception of Jason Miller, who's just so far behind in points that he would need he would need to win 2 games with 25 plus more points to beat out Erik if Erik didn't score any more points. But so one thing I was kind of thinking about, guys, is why don't you guys just have Erik just play Liam? You know, I mean, you might as well just round out the bracket, bring in a 9th round, have Erik just beat those 20 Meganobs, and then we'll know 100% for sure.
There you go. I'm interested to know if there's any of the Plague Bearers left. I actually think there's one left. Oh no, that might be the objective. He might have cleared them all.
So what was that question?
Huh.
What was that question?
Is there any of the Plague Bearers left?
On that top left-hand corner?
Yep, from
Yeah,
the
up in the L ribbon.
Yeah, I'll just have a look.
We have the Salty Banana in the chat, Mr. Jason Butler.
Yeah, one of our frontline companions here, and a friend of mine and a cool dude.
There's two. There are 2 Plague Bearers left, guys. From that
Okay.
squad. So he got pretty. Maybe from stringing him. Well, maybe from stringing out to the Patriarch, it actually cost him probably about 10 attacks. And that would have done the job. Look.
But the difference in the +1 to hit makes a huge swing there. I think it was actually the right call.
No, this is one Plague Bearer left after morale or after the combat?
I think it's before morale. I don't think it's roll morale yet.
Yeah, I don't believe they're still resolving combats, so...
Okay.
For those of you who are looking for Genestealer Cult leaks, if you haven't seen it, GW dropped a big old bomb of stuff on us today, including some really interesting stuff about how Cult Ambush is working, and some interesting little tidbits about a bunch of the new units.
Yeah.
Genestealer Cult is going to be big. For all of you who are tired of seeing hordes on the table, buckle in, because you're going to see even more of them with Genestealer Cult.
Absolutely, man. Genestealer Cult is going to throw an absolute monkey wrench into the meta. I actually can't wait, because I'm actually interested to see if who wins the new Horde kind of paradigm, whether it's Orcs or whether it's GSC.
Well, Orcs are going to be hard to beat. They've just got that raw stat line, which is so good. But, Genestealer Cult has a lot of shenanigans. I'm very curious to see exactly what they end up doing, since they're adding a ton of new HQs and auras and stuff.
Josh, are they arguing on Eric's time, by the way?
Yeah, so what's going on here on the table?
There seems to be some sort of disagreement about placement of models and something like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but this is one of those interesting things about time clocks is, depending on the circumstances, it may be counting on Eric's time correctly. I don't know what the point of disagreement is.
It wasn't correctly.
Okay.
Leigh just went to change the clock to Erik, but it was already on Erik.
Huh, okay. Honestly, at this point, it's probably not going to be a big deal. I don't think Leigh's going to have enough stuff left by the time he would need to time out. But,
what's the time at right now?
Yeah, what's the time at, Josh?
40 minutes of Erik to 35 of Leigh.
So it's still pretty close.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, right now, if I were Erik, I would have clocked into Leigh's time right then when Leigh was counting. Now he's picking models. Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing, but I think Erik is fully aware that he's not going to run out of time. It's going to be Leigh who clocks out well before him. And I mean, even that aside, Leigh's going to run out of models before he is at this point. You can see there's still a lot of Termagants and Genestealers on the table, whereas the Plague Bearers are shrinking rapidly.
That is correct. Look, I'm not even sure if he... So I know for a fact that Leigh has not scored a kill yet. And I'm pretty sure I'm almost certain Leigh has not scored a kill yet. But I can tell you right now, I am quite certain that Erik is about to. And he's about to get a couple of Reaper points, I believe, also.
So, just to clarify those scores, which we... On the score sheet, we've got round 1... Erik got hold 1 versus Leigh hold 1, and so far Leigh got hold 1, and of course we're still in Erik's turn. Erik is going to get probably kill 1 and therefore kill more.
Yep.
Hold 1, and I'm still trying to clarify, but it looks like quite comfortable that he might not comfortably have that bottom center one.
Well, he actually doesn't have the top one either, because his pure strains are elite choices, they're not obsec.
Yeah, so at the moment though, I believe all he has to do is clear 1 Plague Bearer, and so...
Well, that's up to morale, isn't it?
Morale. So Leigh may spend CP to keep him around. And right now, I'm not 100% certain. I might have to go down and have a look.
I'd bet that it's about 50-50 there. I can't tell who's there.
Yeah, so there's a good chance. All right, Leigh's got the one on the right. Eric's got the one on the left.
Eric's got the one in the middle as well.
Eric's got the one in the middle. So
he's already got hold more.
Top two. Well, potentially.
Yeah.
The top and bottom are the deciding there, and we put out this quite easily whether it's you can either get hold more test half. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think
I've ever had.
Did you mention I think I said? Cool.
I don't think I've ever had a game where at the stream where I spent so much time away from the actual away from the camera. But this is a pretty intense game.
Yeah.
And the amount of on the ground observation, in the field observation. I think it's a little hard to get away without it.
That's good.
Yeah, this is a very confusing matchup just to watch straight from the camera.
Absolutely.
So I think we all appreciate you guys being able to go over and clarify there. It makes a big difference.
Well, this is a very hard game to call, guys. These are two top shelf players playing for the essentially the glory from this event, and they're both playing pretty tight to the wire.
For sure. I would definitely put my money on Erik right now, were I a betting man, but it's not impossible for Leigh to pull this one out. He's certainly got the
totally agree, man.
tools.
He can certainly pull this out.
100%. I think this game, look, it's a low-scoring game so far. We've got an hour and 7 minutes left of the round.
I expect Erik is going to pull 4 points out of this turn, maybe even 5.
Yeah, I expect him to. Well, as long as he gets a kill, as long as that Plague Bearer unit at the top fails their morale, he will get a kill, and he'll kill more, almost certainly, and he's most likely going to get hold more.
Well, and he has a couple places he can potentially get a kill off of, as he has quite a few units locked in combat where he's dealing significant damage to them. So Leigh may be in a very bad place in terms of taking morale checks.
Yes, that's correct.
The second top table, just a quick little update. We are in the top of turn 3, I think. Just trying to confirm this in the score sheet. Mike? Turn 3? Yeah, so we're in the top of turn 3, and it's a really close game. There's a lot of death watch in what quite clearly looks like a corpse pile. And pretty much all of the Plague Bearers and first Zangor Bomb, a number of characters looking pretty brutal. They are hammering each other up, which is hey, I like to see that.
So did you get scores for us from the second top table?
Look, at this stage, they haven't put down any secondaries whatsoever. Adding more points, and Morrisoli got points each of the first 2 turns, and looks like Jeremy got 1 point. The first 2 turns, it looks like 4-2. But as I said, secondaries-wise, Jeremy picked Reaper, obviously, and killed at least 40 models. So being the Plague Bearer and the Zangor Bomb, plus more. So he's probably on 2 to 3 Reaper points. He's got Mark for Death, probably picked some of those units for Mark for Death, so he's probably got some there as well. The score sheet looks pretty close, but I don't think it's as close as that score sheet says.
There you go. Alrighty-o. Looks like we are going to go into the top of turn 3. Well, we should get the scores chucked in any second now, and off we will go.
I'm very curious to see how this morale goes, because that's definitely a big swing on this.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think the morale's already done, because I think we're into the next turn.
Really? Okay. I did not ever see something that was clearly morale or clearly use of stratagems.
They're still attacking.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, they're still turn?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they were rolling too many dice for it to be morale. There's no way to get 3
100%.
dice on a morale check.
100%.
No, it was I believe the dice you were seeing with the couple of Plague Bearers still in combat with the Gene Stealers up the top center, directly under where Leigh's pretty much leaning now, attacking the Gene Stealers. And now we've got the blue center Plague Bearer unit fighting against some gaunts.
Yeah, there you go. Look, in my opinion, if Leigh goes one more turn without getting the Bloodletters into combat, if Leigh goes one more turn without getting the Bloodletters into combat, I think this is virtually decided. Without using the Bloodletters, I don't think he can win this game.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's that left corner with the L Ruin is in a really bad place. There's no way that Erik doesn't clear that out this turn, or by the end of the upcoming turn here, I should say. And from there, he's just going to start sweeping into the rest of the squads and the weakened ones and the characters. And at that point, the game is over.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure, but I think that the clock just got paused.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe the TO at this table has just pointed out just how out of coherency those players are on
Yeah.
the table. I don't know just how relevant that really is at this point.
Oh, well, it's just the basics of the game. If you want to play at this level, if you want to be recognised as a player of this caliber, those are just the basics you can't afford to do.
Yeah, look, fair. I think they're trying to play at a reasonable pace. I don't think too much. I think it's fair to say that if you're going to play bearers there, especially if you look top right-hand corner, there are more play bearers here up probably closer than. He could have.
I agree. He could definitely be in coherency. What I'm saying is, you should be in coherency.
Yeah. So this is one play bearers, and quite a few models. A little bit out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, look, it's much of a muchness. We have not plugged our sponsor once this game.
So let's start with ITC Terrain. So ITC Terrain, the pre-printed wargaming terrain. You can find them at www.otterrain.com. They've got a great for store right now. They've got a massive 15% off sale right now for February. All you have to do is type in OTP 15% into the shopping cart and get a massive discount. So they do scales from 32 mil, they do crates that contain they do massive. Alright, people complaining that I probably down a little bit and back through to Adam.
You want these back?
Yeah, I'll come back.
Alright.
One second.
I'm gonna, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you can hear. No, you can hear through my headset. So you're just coming right through here.
All right, I'll just leave then.
Yeah, you just leave, man. Don't worry. I got all this, guys. This is what you guys need. The whole screen's
He's
supposed
only
to
been
be
doing this for
just
3 days.
Prime time with Adam.
at prime time with Adam.
Yeah, you just go make his own tournament. Blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the tournament.
With blackjack and something else. Except forget the blackjack and the 40k.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like we've had the morale. One of the morales is starting to come in. That green squad is being completely depleted. Oh, it looks like he's got morals back.
No?
Yeah, he's got morals back from that middle bottom squad. Looks like he's got 3 back there.
Yep.
And it looks like he has got in. No, he didn't get any morals back from the green squad. I think they're all gone. Actually, I'm not quite sure where that green squad extends to. The one with the miasma on it. I think there's still a couple left.
It's a little hard to tell from here. Like we said earlier, there's just so many squads and models on the table that even with all the markings they have, it's very difficult for us to see, even though the players can probably tell.
Yeah. No, 100%, guys.
This is like the terms to update. Yes, they've updated. So it's worth pointing out, Erik did not get a kill more that turn. He hold more.
That's big.
Those plague bearers that were with the G Sealers had a couple of plague bearers left by the looks of it. So yes, that is a bit of a blow because that would have been an additional 2 points there, obviously.
Yeah.
Both Kill 1 and Kill More. But for the moment, Erik got recon again, and so it looks like we're currently sitting at 6-3 favour of the Neds, and we've just jumped into the top of turn 3.
How's my boy Jeremy Martino doing against Matt?
Mr. Marigold, I'll just head on over.
So right now we have just ticked under an hour left in the round, and we are literally just starting turn 3. I'm just going to put it out here right now. I don't think they're going to have enough time to complete turn 4.
Yeah, it depends.
We've got an hour left.
Yeah.
We've got 1 hour left.
1 hour left? Yeah, but they're just starting turn 3. They're not going to finish turn 4 in 1 hour.
Well, we'll see, guys. I've been in this situation on stream before where it looked like we would finish turn 3, and then we popped out 3 turns in the last 30 minutes. It really depends on the players.
I was literally just putting out a prediction. That's not my definitive
Well, I predict
answer.
the opposite.
Yeah.
If I were there, I'd probably be able to give you a more accurate, because it really depends on the players too, right? And their rapport. If the players are working together and kind of down to business, they have that kind of attitude, the game will finish on time. If the players are very aggressive, or if they're very argumentative, or if there's a lot of controversies and a lot of things going around all over the table, and it's a lot more tense, those games do not tend to go to completion. So it really just depends on players and the situation.
Yeah, and how willing they are to work with each other. I definitely think that's a very good point. Looks like the Bloodletters will not be going anywhere near the Gene Stealers. They're going to try and commit to the Termagants and clear off that middle-bottom objective. With where they're positioned, that's probably the better call. Trying to get them over the Gene Stealers now, you're risking them going for a long bomb charge, failing, and then getting countercharged.
I'm just going to try and calm down another table. Nothing to do with the stream. There's a couple of people that are getting a little heated that I might just have a quick word to, so I'm just going to go off mic for a second.
Be that Roman TO diff.
Yeah, I would honestly say that given the way each of them are playing, I still think that Leigh is going to burn out of time first, just because Erik is a much faster player and seems to be better able to keep his time under control. I'm expecting that Leigh is going to burn most of his time on this turn. Just looking at the way he's moving stuff, he's not going fast enough.
No, he's not doing it fast enough. In fact, it might be the opposite of fast. Looks, it might be in his favour to have the game stop at the end of turn 3. Who knows?
I mean, if it stops at the end of 3, he's going to lose anyways.
I am. Probably right.
Yeah, just because Erik is going to get hold more. Probably is certainly going to get kill more. There's just too many units that are close to dying, and the secondaries at the end of the game don't particularly favor Leigh either.
It's also worth pointing out that Leigh, at this point, if he wins, but only on turn 3 with a very low score, then he won't even podium, whereas Erik still will, because Liam, who was the Meganom Orc list, had a massive win in that last round, or this round. It's already been done. So Liam's going to jump up there as one of the 7-1 players with a really good score. And then Erik, even if he loses, he's still 7-1 with a much higher score. And then the winner on the second top table between Mauro Soli and Jeremy are both on a higher score than Leigh. So once again, the winner of that will jump Leigh as well. So he won't even make top 3 unless he gets a big win. Well, maybe not it doesn't have to be massive, but he won't make the top 3 if it's a turn 3 finish.
A timeout win won't do it. He needs a real 5 or 6 turns.
But don't get me wrong. All right, so going 7-1 at 145 player event, I think everyone focuses on the podium being the top 3 normally. At a 145 player event, if you make the top 10, you should walk away feeling pretty proud of that result. If you can go 7-1 and event like, I mean, following the fact that we've got 8 games, 3 days in extreme weather conditions. So the first day in sauna, I think anyone who goes 7-1, rats. You should be proud.
Yeah, that's none of this is to try and say that Leigh is not a good player, that he's not up to the task. Like, he has obviously performed a pretty impressive feat, finishing 7 games, 8 games with a list like this and getting 7 wins out of it, or maybe even 8 if he pulls this one here. That is very impressive. That's why, especially if you guys listen to Chapter Tactics, we tend to focus on the lists that had 1 or 0 losses.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the reality, you'll get a loss sometimes, even if you're a really good player. That's just how it is.
Oh look, I've actually never gone 7-1 at Cancon. I've gone 6-1-1 and 6-2 at Cancon in my last 2 showings. Mind you, I have cracked it. I came 3rd and I came 6th on those 2 years. But yeah, I've never actually gone 7-1 here. So it is quite an absolute feat and a half.
Yeah, it's a very impressive task.
Yeah, 100%. Leigh's done quite a few different moves. He's moved up aggressively to kind of...
We're talking about the potential other peoples that are up there, so I thought we were to go hunt down Hayden Waldup, who's another player. I think he's relatively high in the standings, with currently 6-1. But yet another player that could go 7-1. However, I can't find his table. So you guys talk, I'll find him.
Totally Not Panics has just put in a pretty funny comment. So I came 3rd at Cancon 2 years ago playing a pure guard list in 7th edition. It's one of my shining achievements. But I played Totally Not Panics and he played a Riptide Wing and took off 1,650 points of my army in the top of turn 1 out of an 1850-point game. It was heinous.
Yeah, the Riptide Wing back in 7th. I mean, honestly, all of 7th edition was just nonsense.
It was just a mess, wasn't it, guys?
It was. I played Yanari back at the bottom end of 7th there, and the Yanari Sisters of Silence list was just stupid.
Oh, dude, it was retarded. I'm just going to do a quick plug for our sponsors right now. Just give us a sec, Josh. So we've got 2 major sponsors for this this stream, that being the Army Painter and OTP Terrain. OTP Terrain is a Australian manufacturing company for 3D printed terrain. They do really amazing work. They print everything from 6mm to 32mm systems, sci-fi and fantasy, whichever way flakes your pastry. Just pulled that one out. There is a special offer just for the rest of this month till the 1st of February. If you use the code on your order, OTP 15%, you will get 15% off your total cart, your total purchase. Go over to their website, otpterrain.com, and jump on top of that. Secondly, we have the Army Painter, which is an amazing organisation run by hobbyists for hobbyists to help you get and paint effective armies and get them on the board quicker. Hashtag more time for gaming is their logo. They produce a full range of paints, everything from layers to shades. They got their dip, I think it's Quick Shade, which is one of their flagship products, which is possibly the best on the market by all reports. Have you guys had any experience with Army Painter, guys?
I don't use most of their stuff because I have an airbrush. It makes it a lot less necessary, but I know a number of friends who have used it to finish armies in ridiculous. In fact, one who is probably doing so at this very moment.
Yeah, there you go. Checking back into the game, any updates from Josh?
So Waldup, Hayden Waldup, who was on stream, last round?
Yeah, he was on stream yesterday.
Yeah, stream yesterday. He's on 6-1 at the moment. He's on 6-1 at the moment. He's currently playing against Leigh Connor, who was the, I believe, New South Wales captain for the ATC, the ANZ Team Championship this year, and he's looking pretty convincing at the moment. They're 3 turns down. The first turn looked pretty low scoring, but then Hayden looks like he's running away with it within the next 2 turns. So that should be probably a podium finish, I think, from Hayden, which would be quite interesting because we have a potential situation where Hayden Waldup, Erik Lathouras, who's the Tyranids player on stream right now, and Liam Hackett, who was the Orc Megadog player on stream, yesterday, who just brought in a pretty big win. All from the same gaming club called Godhammer Gaming, and they could go 1-2-3.
That'd be impressive to see.
Looks like just an update on our game. Looks like the Bloodletters have made it into combat. There's a bit of a dispute on how far they can move. I think Erik is disputing how far, because originally I think Leigh was under the impression he would be able to get his second kind of the movement tray off to the bottom right. He thought they could make it into combat. Erik disputed that. Looks like they've come to a quick agreement, which is quite good.
Yeah.
Neither of them can afford for another long argument, to be honest. They've got to just keep kind of power through. I believe this is probably an Overwatch. We just had some more results come through. I'll see if there's anybody, any interesting games of any of the guys in contention.
So at the moment we're just having the blue Nurgle squad or Playbearer squad piling into the Dawn carpet. I think anyone who actually eventually gets a win against this, I said all carpet, mid carpet, anyone who gets a win against this mid carpet, I think needs to start mobbing people maybe with a vacuum cleaner, or maybe like or maybe even a lawnmower.
Can you give us can we get a time check on whose the clocks are on what, please?
21-ish minutes to Leigh, and 30-ish minutes to Erik. I'm going to try and get a better view of that without leaning over the table too much. Yeah, 31 to 21 minutes.
Okay, so that's actually not too bad considering. And we've got 47 minutes on the clock, so they're going to be within like the acceptable limits for when the round ends. Now, that will mean if they play this 50-50 for the remaining time, Leigh will clock out with about 26 minutes left on the round timer, if that is how it goes.
Well, it's fair to assume that, look, they are technically both going to clock out.
Yeah, exactly right.
They're not going to finish the game. But Leigh will logically clock out first because he went first.
Exactly right.
What the question really will be whether or not Erik has. So let's say Leigh clocks out in turn 3, and Erik doesn't have more than 10 minutes left at the end of his turn 3. Leigh's clocked out, but then Erik may not have enough time to technically start turn 4. So we could find that I think Leigh might run out of time first, and Erik might then not be able to start his turn 4 because he won't have more than 10 minutes left. I think Erik will probably need to be very, very conscious about movement, and basically this in Erik's turn, I would suggest just not moving things that are, killing 1 or 2 extra plate bearers to get maybe a Gauntlet range or this, that, the other. Just ignore it. You're not going to kill the unit. If you're not going to kill the unit with that extra couple of models, just don't move them. Quickly speed through that turn and make sure that at the end of your turn 3, you've got at least 10 minutes to be able to start your next turn. So if you're unfamiliar with the chess block system, if both players don't have more than 10 minutes remaining, you're not allowed to start another turn. So it's, you can get a situation where I've seen it get pretty heated, where a player might have like 9 minutes left, and all he wants to do is move on to an objective, call turn, move on to an objective, call turn, and get next couple of turns in. But unfortunately, a player has the ability to say nope. ITC clock will say no.
Right, so it looks like they're into the combat phase, guys. Leigh's about to activate his Bloodletters, and we'll see how much damage they do. They should do quite a considerable amount of damage. They are having a bit of a dispute about how many can get into combat. Well, actually, I don't think they're having a dispute. I just think they're trying to figure it out logically before anybody moves on models, which is the right way to do it in this situation.
Yeah. As you said, managing Erik's clock is going to be really important at this point, but even if he just holds the status quo, he still comes into turn 4 with more than 10 minutes remaining.
What do you guys feel about that ruling? Like, do you feel that that a player should have the right to say, I want to have my next turns and not roll any dice whatsoever?
So, I'm going to hop into this one first, Sean, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
So I actually really don't like it. I've been on the receiving end of it. However, as a player who's been in that situation multiple times, I've just learned to work around it. When I'm sitting at around 11 minutes, I will literally just go move, done, move. Basically, I clock myself out at 10 minutes, and that's when I feel like I actually should clock out. So I usually like to give myself another minute or two above 10 minutes. So I work around it, and I think the best players will work around it anyways. So I think it's mostly a non-issue, but I would prefer to have 5 minute, or have it be like a 5 minute time, or maybe a discrepancy in time. So if there's 15 minutes or more difference between the players, I don't know how you'd work around it. I think it still needs some work.
I think people say that once a player has less than 10 minutes remaining, if they start another turn, they can't roll dice. That'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, 10 minutes, I kind of agree with Pablo. 10 minutes does feel like a bit much because you do get in a situation where both players have like 9 minutes and 58 seconds. And 20 minutes is certainly enough time to finish a game, or at least to finish a turn.
So we're talking about turn 3 to 4 here at this point. But if you're on like turn 5 and you've just completely demolished your opponent, and I've had a game where we managed to we went through the clock regardless, and still finished within the round. Situation pretty much was a guy had a unit of rippers hiding behind the ruin. I took everything else on the table, and basically I think I was on turn 4, and we had less than 10 minutes left to go, and he said no, we're gonna get our turns in, because he didn't want to basically dog me the objective points, and we got our 6 turns in and before the round. So I guess that's dreams, and I think having a rule that simply says less than 10 minutes, no caveat or exception, can just be a little bit feel a little cheated sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So
Yeah, the other half of that is that the reality is that good players who understand clock management can work around that, as Pablo said. So is it annoying? Yeah, no one likes finishing a game like that, especially if it could have won you if you had had the time. But clock management is a skill just like list building, deployment, and everything else is a skill. So good players will learn to do it the right way that advantages them.
yeah, now to play devil's advocate here.
There's just a comment by Hayden Mansky. He's just telling Josh Diffie to stop talking about himself. You're washed up, bro.
I mean,
Mansky's having a crack at you.
and who would have a better opinion on that than the guy who didn't even show up to the tournament because he was too much of a coward to bring Devilfish?
Oh, boom.
Yeah.
Shots fired from the tactics. Coming at me, bro. I've got my boys.
Oh, that's savage. Shots fired by Sean.
For those that don't know, Mansky and I used to live together.
We're all very good friends with Mansky. He's on the ETC team with me for this year. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
he's on his
he's a pretty good player. I'm really impressed by anyone willing to bring a list like that.
Look, I've got a feeling that is Leigh going to be around 15 minutes at the start of his next turn?
Both of them
he was
pretty
at
low.
21 minutes remaining, and he's still got all these rolling combats to go through.
Both are pretty low. I'm just having a look. 17 to glare. 17 28.
17 to 28. So still no huge difference between them. Wheelchair Man 1950 with possibly the savage comments of the day. Those who can play. Those who can't become commentators.
Hey man, there's some truth to that.
Oh, whatever.
There is a little bit for sure. But, we're trying to push 40K forward into that professional thing where we can all pretend like we're actual TV commentators.
Exactly right. Now look, some of us has to step back for the good of the community, to promote the community.
Hey,
I'm willing to take that.
I guess the real question or real answer to that, being washed up or not, will come to the ANZ 40K Masters. So Mr. Adam Camilleri, the one currently on screen, that purty face, scored himself one of the 16 invites based on rankings. So Adam is well up there as far as accolades go,
It's going to be a
there's never been a field like this, I don't think, or not in a while anyway, with this format, with a 16-player knockout Masters invite event. We will see.
When is that exactly?
That is, so scrolling along the bottom at some stage, it is the third weekend in March that will be streamed.
Okay.
We might need to see if we can rope some of the chapter tactics guys in.
Yes, absolutely.
Dude, if you and them commentate on Masters, that would be magnificent.
Yeah.
That would be
funnily enough,
match made in heaven, guys.
So Adam obviously is playing. I'm the TO of that event.
Nice.
So we're currently looking at options. We are 100% streaming it. We cannot not stream that event. So at this stage, I'm looking at one person to sit there by my side during the commentary, but I'll potentially be a little more involved in the rules disputes. So yeah, so if you guys wanted to get involved, you guys have been fantastic this weekend. We'd love you to stick around.
I have one stipulation.
More death
One
watch?
requirement. You have to put the top 16 brackets somewhere, either on challenge.com or on Down Under Pairings, and we need to submit some brackets and predict, because that is the only way to watch a top 16 single elimination tournament.
Yeah, for sure. So the way I'll tell you how it's a really, really different format to pretty much any event I've seen. And Adam Napier was one of the people that helped come up with the concept.
Really smart guy.
Really smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's an ANZ 40K Masters, and at the exact same time, at the exact same venue, we have ANZ 40K Open. The Masters is invite-only 16-player event. The Open is just that. Anyone can participate. The Open is 5 rounds, whereas the Masters is 4. Now, it's a seeded
I'd just like to point out right now, I believe the timer is on Erik, and Leigh is doing his pile-ins, so they need to be more switched on with that, guys.
So I just want to comment to someone on the chat. I understand that you can look at chess clocks and look at this game in particular, especially in a vacuum, and point towards GW and Horde 40K, kind of those comments, and say like that's what's wrong with it. But however, Erik has finished all of his games on time.
Yes.
Erik's been doing well. And he's a Horde player. This really speaks more to kind of the competitiveness of this game in particular, as well as the players in general and how prepared they are.
Yeah.
I think in general people do finish their games, and if you look at the Down Under pairings, the average turns that people are finishing, it's above 5. It's actually like 0.2 or 3 more above 5, I think, of the average games. So people are definitely finishing their games, and I do think chess clocks should have a little bit to do with that.
Oh, and as Jim points out, it's not just Horde players. Everyone takes their full clock if they can, Horde and Elite and everything. So it's like you can point to Horde players and blame them, but the reality is that Knight armies, I've seen 5 Knight armies go to time, which is just like more slow sometimes.
So I'm just getting a little bit of an idea of how this game's going. Martino got the win.
Oh, baby.
So I'll just...
Marigold.
So we are straight in... Sorry, I interrupted you for a minute. The bottom of round 3... Sorry, the top of round 3 has finally finished. We are into the bottom of round 3, and the scores are about to be updated. There'll be kill and hold, and there's probably 1, maybe even 2 Reaper points.
Erik has a solid lead here.
Yeah, I think Erik leapfrogs pretty far into the lead here.
And it is 14 minutes to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
So back to that Masters. So basically the way it works is based on down the pairing rankings from the 2018 season. The highest ranked player of the top 16 will play the lowest ranked. Second will play the 15th, and so on. As you lose a game, you are knocked out of the Master and feed into the Open at the current round. So out of the 16 players, 8 will, and the missions will be ITC champ mission, but we will be doing a slightly slight alteration to make a countback option. There will be no draws in the Masters.
Yeah, obviously. You have to have... What are you using for tiebreakers, out of curiosity?
Don't know yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
I think that's a really neat format. I'm curious to see how it starts out.
So what we're doing is, so obviously 16 goes to 8 to 2. So in that final round, the round 4 of the Masters, we are off filtering the time a little bit. So as the round 4 of the Open base starts a little earlier than the Masters round 4, and that way, probably at least the last half hour, we're going to have the Dream ideally on a big projector downstairs and open speakers, and the players that are in the Open can watch the final table of the Masters. But then the event isn't over. There is a 5th round where the winner of the Masters plays the highest ranked player of the Open for a second crown, if you will. One of the biggest issues we've had with Masters event historically is they're being invite only and not many ITC points. And so that a number of players, especially in New South Wales, say, well, I'm not going to make the trip. It's not worth it for me. So open events will be what effectively gets submitted to ITC for ranking. So you can win Masters and you get the crown, you get a nice cool trophy, all that sort of stuff. But as far as ITC is concerned, if you don't beat the person from the Open, then no, you'll tend to only come second. The one thing we will do though, I'm not sure, I have to probably check the rules of ITC and how they do it, but at least for our event, the top table, so the winner of Masters and the highest ranked player of Open will be playing for first and second. So if you lose that game, you're still second place, there's no leapfrogging. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's an interesting system. I was kind of thinking that through and how that works numerically. I don't think there's any problem with doing that as per ITC. Pablo might know a little bit better than me because he's a little more familiar with some of the specifics. But as far as I understand, there's no problem with doing it that way. And I think that does make for a very interesting kind of event. Like I like the kind of the gimmick there.
I think there's a lot of ways to do it. It would really depend on how if you wanted to make them one tournament, one giant tournament, or 2 separate tournaments. If you were going to make them 2 separate tournaments, unfortunately, the invitational or the single elimination tournament just wouldn't give as many ITC points. I would definitely reach out to the BCP guys because they're kind of used to basically formatting tournaments in weird ways or dealing with formats. Excuse me. In regards to ITC points, it would be interesting.
We'll be submitting the results via the standard Excel uploading format. Of course, we'll be using down on pairings for us, but we'll definitely reach out to whether that's BCP, FLG, insert another acronym here to work out whether or not we have to do any specific for ITC ranking. But I know a number of events where they break the top 8 and then not everyone finished in games. So it's not that different, I guess.
Yeah, and I wasn't suggesting you guys use West Coast pairings or that they do it better per se. It's just they have a lot of experience in that, and when people like, for example, when Nova, when the ETC wanted to make their big event, ITC give us ITC points, they were kind of weird about it. They wanted to kind of make it so that everyone on the team had the same ITC points, and so I know that BCP had to work with them, and unfortunately Frontline Gaming doesn't, or the ITC, I guess, we don't really go out and do that. We kind of just take your scores however you choose to submit them, and then put the points in yourselves. So whatever you guys come up with, whether it's you're on your own or you've reached out, you've outsourced it or whatever, I'd be very curious to hear how you guys come about it. And then of course the ITC will take whatever you submit and submit them fairly and all that stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not going to be the size of an event like Cancon. It's the first year we've actually opened the Masters. but historically the Masters has been either a 16 or a 32 player twist, and that's it. There hasn't been an open component. The first year we're going to be running format, and so we're hoping that it kicks off. But realistically, next year is the year we're hoping to start to see much bigger numbers in attendance.
All right, Diffie, can I ask you a favour? Can I ask you a favour? Could you go and check on Chris Wright's game, please?
Of course I can.
If you like, I will pull up the table number, make it easy for you.
I know where it is. They're packing up.
52.
So, they're packing up. So let's. Chris Wright, who as of about an hour ago is ranked 2 on ITC for Australia. Now that the results have finally been uploaded, he went into the event technically on 1, and he's playing against 3++ man Kirby himself. So
yeah.
I had what the scores are in that game, because right now, if it looks like this is gonna. So I just need to put some things into perspective. I need to put some things into perspective for you guys. I'm not quite sure how you can hear me, but I can tell you right now that Jeremy Martino has just beaten Matt Morosoli, and it looks like Erik is going to beat Leigh here on a very low score. So unless Chris Wright gets a considerable win over Will Wyckoff,
Will said his behind hurts. I'm not certain the final score. I'll just confirm 1 sec. 41. Chris Wright's at a 41.
Oh my gosh, that is a big score.
So
Inari on Tau is bad.
Chris Wright won?
Yeah, Chris Wright got a big win.
Okay.
Put a 40 burger up on Will.
So we need to know what the difference is, what the scores were for Matt Morosoli's game. I believe he was a few points over Chris Wright. Was it only 2 points over Chris Wright, or was it 2 points over Leigh Abbey?
I'm not 100% certain the score for... well, I know the difference between Chris and Will is fairly irrelevant. Chris just got the 41. I guess the question is what was it between Chris going into the round and Matt going into the round? It doesn't matter. Chris will be on more wins than Matt.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I think that puts more wins to Chris.
Yeah, Chris only has...
Yeah, Chris has only lost 1 game to my mind.
He's lost 2. He's 5-2 right now.
Yeah, he's lost 2.
Yeah.
So they're both going to be 6-2. If Leigh loses this as well, all 3 people in contention to go to Vegas are 6-2, and it's literally just down to points. So this is actually going to be very interesting.
Yeah. We could actually end up with a situation where all 3 of them finish relatively good. They finish high-ish. They'll probably finish in the top 10. But there may be a situation where none of them actually get enough points to change their ITC ranking, and how they came into the event is effectively who got the invite anyway.
I'll just point out some things right now. It looked like that green squad of Plague Bearers has completely been wiped out. So there's 2 full units of Plague Bearers gone. Sorry, I keep talking too fast. I'm too excited. It's the last game. I'm pumped. So 2 units of Plague Bearers have been wiped out in the last 2 turns. That green squad has finally popped, and it looks like that's from the rolling maul of all the characters, all the punchy characters, and the Gene Stealers going into them.
Yeah, so there was a lot of attacks rolled there. I'm just trying to confirm exactly which combat it is, but we're looking at this table, and look, the Bloodletters are still there in force, I guess, but I put you that they're probably out of position now. The Gene Stealers are much deeper into Plague Bearers, up the top center. And that center of the table, I'm just trying to see just how dominant either of them are, because there's just so many models. There's 1, 2, 3, so there's a red, a blue, and a white squad of Plague Bearers, so 3 different squad in that middle, to who knows how many tournaments.
Yeah, I don't think it's really going to matter in terms of like the exact model count, because as you can see, like he's pulling a lot of guys here as the Gene Stealers put their attacks in.
Could you tell me who's on the clock right now?
Leigh.
Yeah, it's on Leigh's turn right now. Because like Erik is going to get to basically churn apart everything that is in there with the Gene Stealers, and then his Termagants move in and pull that objective out from underneath the Bloodletters. realistically speaking, I think that Erik gets ground control 4-1 here, and that, if nothing else, clinches the match for him.
I agree. I think ground control is going to become absolutely pivotal. Looks like, yeah, and even a bonus point, because he needs 3 characters on 3 objectives, doesn't he? It looks like he has a Primus on the middle top objective. He's definitely going to have characters within reach of that middle objective. And if he would just put a character on the middle the middle left objective, he'd be getting the bonus point every turn right now.
I think he may actually have those gaunts. I'm not sure how clear it is, but it looks to me that the gaunt squad on the left-ish, in that left objective, is within range. I probably want to get a measurement out myself. I'm not sure if there's anything. No, there's nothing underneath that ruin. I don't think. No, there's nothing under that ruin. So it's the gaunts. I guess the question is whether or not they're in range. It doesn't look like they move most of the game. So look, hard to say. But yes, he does have a character up that top centre objective, holding that pretty much by itself. With Gene Stealers being a bit of a bubble there, it would take a fair bit for him to get through those Stealers with what he's got near him. But yes, as I said, I think the question really here is really going to be what turn they start running out of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they are really starting to speed up. They're getting a lot better with their time management.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they know they're still. So I think we've just ticked under 30 minutes left in the round.
There's 22 minutes and 30 seconds remaining.
Which is probably like a 17-5 or 15-7 split or something.
Yeah.
It's looks like 16 to. Really hard. 15 to 12 minutes. Remaining on the chess box, which obviously is more than that's 27 minutes on the clock versus the 22 minutes left in the round. I'm not sure how many times. I know they're not allowed to pause it unless the TO pauses it, and the TO has paused it a number of times. So I'm just not 100% certain what the TO's decision will be on that, whether or not they'll play to the 21 minutes and 45 seconds remaining on the round clock, or whether they'll play to the clock.
I would imagine they would play to the clock just because this is top table.
Yeah. Well, I would say this is actually a good thing, and that it shows that both players are using the time equally. No player is slower than the other. I think that's actually a good thing. Despite not getting a natural finish, this is the best result for not getting a natural finish, with one player clocking out well above the other. It is actually. Is it actually possible, with the amount of combats that are left, I'm not sure how many are left, that they're going to be below 10 minutes?
That depends almost entirely on Erik and what he chooses to do. He's in control of the clock.
Erik will definitely, at the end of turn 3, Erik will definitely have more than 10 minutes left. And so, because he'll have more than 10 minutes left, Leigh won't probably have more than 10 minutes. I think, with only 12 minutes remaining and the combat still to go. So we might end up with a situation where we go into turn 4 with Leigh with around, I don't know, I'm going to say 9.5 kind of minutes. To Erik probably only having like 11. I think you're right. It really is going to come down to whether or not Erik gets his turn in within the time. But I can't see why he won't.
He could choose not to, functionally. He could decide to spend more time on things and essentially deny both players the final turn of the game. I don't think he will. He has no reason to. But in theory, he has that option.
Yeah, it's also worth pointing out that you obviously can't see on the screen, because you're going to see the table. There is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I'm going to say 14 people hovering around this table. If I was in those, I would probably ask
Spectator sport time.
Leave. I'd probably be asking them to get the hell out of there. But
having a big crowd like that can be pretty nerve-wracking and just get in the way of things.
Yep.
So, as it stands right now, so I'm doing a little bit of ITC calculating foo right here, and it looks like as long as this trend continues with Erik and Leigh, it looks like currently your top 3 is going to be Erik or Leigh, but probably Erik, I think, Jeremy Martino and Liam Hackett in whatever order they fall in there.
What happens if you do your food there? What did Hayden Warnock get?
Well, actually, you broke up there, buddy.
Sorry. Hayden Waldock is, I believe, above Liam. He's about the same points as Liam Hackett. And Waldock is looking fairly convincing at the moment. So, look, those top three you just said, I would at least have them in the top four. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the final Jason Miller's game as well. Depending on if Jason wins that.
We've had a few scores come in for this game. So currently, Erik has jumped ahead. It is 9-6 right now. I'm going to hazard a guess that unless they come to an agreement and split the time half-half, that the actual round will fall down. So the round will be out before Erik finishes. So before they finish turn 4, which was my prediction. I was right, guys, but we'll wait and see. But because I think we are.
For people who want to know those points, so far Erik has scored 3 points, so a point every turn for Recon. But so far, once again, hasn't been keeping track of Reaper. So I'm going to say that Reaper is 4 point. And also ground control, obviously it's end of game, we don't know that just yet. And Leigh has got 2 points for Recon, so he missed it one turn. And once again, hasn't been keeping track of Reaper. But I think you guys will probably have a better view from where you are right now. Swarm of people around the table. Would you suggest that he's easily got 4 points for Reaper? Still a lot of dead gaunts on the trays.
I'd actually
say. Yeah, I would guess so if I were to say. It's a little hard to tell, but at least 3, probably 4.
Yeah, I reckon we're probably in a situation where both players' secondaries are both going to jump by 4 points to the Reaper, so they'll cancel each other out there. So ground control will be a big element, but keeping in mind that Erik got hold more that turn, neither of them got kill more. So we're seeing Erik got 3, 2, and 3 for the first 3 turns versus 1, 1, 2. So Erik's been able to get that 1 or 2 extra points each turn,
We're having some termagants removed from the leftist squad, and we are just looks like we're rolling some saves here or some attacks. Either way.
So looking at back to the ITC scores, looks like Chris's lowest score is lower than Mari. I'm sorry, guys. Marisol. I completely forgot his name. Marisol. Matt. Well, Matt and Chris. It's a 2-man race right now between Matt and Chris. I don't think Leigh's going to score enough points to throw his name in there. So Matt and Chris are currently basically 1 point difference, which means their score is going to be roughly the same because they also both lost at the same round as well, which means their bonus points are going to be the same. So I think Chris is going to win by 3 points, maybe 2 points. But Chris's lowest ICC score is 114 points, whereas Matt's is 117 points. So it looks like Jeremy knocked out Matt from winning being the Australian ITC champion.
If we had to guess, I'd say we did. That's correct.
Yeah.
There was a bit of tension there at the end of that game.
Not uncommon at the top end of a tournament.
Yes, agreed. We'll probably just leave it there. But they are 2 of the Australian ETC players. So we're trying to calm that down a little bit because we want to see some love.
All right, looks like we'll just get the final scores in for this round. I think they've just paused the clock. I'm not quite sure why they did that.
Sorry, what was your question there?
They're just putting in the final scores. Right now it is 10-6 in Erik's favour, a 4 point difference. I can't actually see any way for Leigh to firstly complete his turn in 14 minutes and have Erik have ample time to complete his. So I honestly think this will be the end of the game. The game state will complete with a 10-6 victory to Erik.
No, I believe in them. They're both going to have a 1 minute turn 4 and then a 1 minute turn 5. and then they're going to prove PP Pop correct.
Man, that's inspirational. Your belief in these gentlemen, their abilities is just astounding.
Don't make me call. I'll pull in a call right now.
How far Plague Bear's moving? They get +2 on their advance from a Herald, and they can move 5 plus D6 +2, so they can move 13 inches.
What audio with you guys?
Your body, but
I lost audio on
yeah.
you guys.
Okay, might just head back because I can't hear Adam talking.
Yeah, I've got not much to say at the moment. We're just waiting for this game to
Okay,
wrap up.
yeah.
Adam
So everyone just went quiet. Everyone went quiet, and my phone flashed up with 10% battery.
We would never leave
Uh-oh.
We leave no man behind a network down under parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the board state, I would guess that it's going to be either 3-2 or 4-1 in Eric's favor on ground control. Their secondaries are otherwise pretty similarly tied up, but Erik has a significant advantage on the primary, which he will continue to maintain here. Leigh's going to do some damage to those Termagants as he charges the Bloodletters in and probably wipes another squad realistically, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, Leigh could potentially, if he hurries up, he could maybe steal that top objective with that Plague Bear unit on the top, away from the Gene Stealers. I doubt it. Like,
I would
that's
be
a very big
surprised. Yeah,
Well,
because
with
so many of them are so far away. They're strung out all over, and that's great for auras and covering ground. But when you need to get into combat, like 6 guys doesn't do the trick.
Yeah, the poop tree does drop mortal wounds, so
yeah,
you got to be careful with that. But I think you're right. If I were Leigh, I think I would just take that outside shot at this point. Just because you're running out of time.
So Leigh's looking to cinch up 2 points for ground control. He really needs to, you're absolutely right. He really needs to fight for that top ground control
What's
point.
Leigh looking to cinch
that
up?
swing. It looks like he's taking off a couple of the Gene Stealers.
Adam, you're not coming through Discord very well. Again.
So what was that, Josh?
I said you're not coming through Discord very well. Make sure it's all the star. You're coming through it's a little odd. You're coming through the stream reasonably well as far as I can tell, but unfortunately Discord cuts out every now and then. I'm not sure if it's just Discord having a hissy, but yeah, let's everyone just. Usually when you talk a little slower, it comes across pretty clearly.
Well, apologies to the listeners.
My
audio is pretty garbage.
So it's 6 minutes to 11 minutes, just by the by. So I'm just going to swing on back here. That way I can at least repeat some of the comments.
Can we switch back to our regular setup for the end of this stream, just so we're nice and clear for the finish?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. Kind of.
I missed my headset.
Alright. Let's see how we go. Tetris? Alright. Maybe not yet. Muted. We like you muted.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the finale. We have tangled up, just like our love lives.
Yeah, the chat seems to be able to hear the two of you guys. It does cut in and out on our end of thing because we're running 2 different systems at once.
Yes.
So I'm going to turn a few things off and give you.
So we are in the absolute.
Just stop talking, Adam.
Oh.
You wanted to swap, you gotta wait. Alright, so fingers crossed, we're gonna make this work. So let's see how this goes. You wanna give us a little sound check there, Adam?
Little sound check for you, Goofy. You're such a lovely gentleman.
Alright, so we've got an echo from you. I think, look, you wanted to swap back this last minute, which probably wasn't the best move. But let's see how we go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to spend too long to fix that, mate. You're not swapping back.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like we're so close to the end of things here.
It's why you control of things.
So this is why I'm the commentator and Jeff is the tech. Josh is the tech guy. Jeff, you're now Jeff from now on. You couldn't meet my outrageous demands. You get downvoted to Jeff. You're no longer Josh.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what are we going to do?
Yep.
I
Even
think
GW
this
gets audio problems.
I think this game
it's
required.
constant.
This game required a lot more boots on the ground to get a better view, especially because to get a rough idea of how this game's going, time management is probably one of the most important factors of this game, and we would not be able to get that without being on the ground. So time is on Leigh with 6 minutes-ish left, and Erik with 11 and a bit minutes left. So the question here is really whether or not Erik decides to not do things in his turn. But I think, look,
That's a very look. Have you guys seen what he's doing with the bloodletters there? That's a really strange choice.
Yeah. He's trying to brain point or clock off Erik.
Maybe it might. I would look at that and think he's trying to clear 2 objectives, but that is incredibly optimistic. Although that may be his only game at this point.
I think the word here is ambitious.
Yeah.
So he's behind. He's got to do something to change up the game.
Objective. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Leah's trying to snipe that top objective. We'll see if that works out. If I were Erik in this case, I've got 11 minutes. I might just leave combat and then take 3 turns of hold more. Hold more.
We've got 7 minutes left on the final this round, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's not okay.
So there's 7 minutes left on the round time, and there's 11 minutes left on Erik's time, right?
That is correct, I believe.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh well, then no, there's no time then. So that's still looks like Erik's got ahead here, but if Leigh does manage to steal this one because of time, it'll be very interesting.
Well, what could be an option so one of the things that was discussed fairly heavily around the chess clock rules is when you decide to not roll dice. But the problem is, not everyone's really that familiar with that part of the rules.
Mm-hmm. And it's very weird.
It is. I think people don't understand what it's there for. But, I mean, basically what can happen here is Erik can pick a unit and say, I'm not going to roll my dice in a combat for those attacks. And Leigh can then either remove the unit entirely, leave a model, leave 2 models, whatever it might be. But then it doesn't waste Erik's time. But here's what's going to happen. If Erik tried to pull that, not many people familiar with that rule, it would get questioned, the clock would be paused, or even get eaten down further. It'd be really weird.
Well, so if I were Erik and Leigh and I knew my opponent weren't familiar with it, I would just say, hey, I'm not going to use any time. You get to pick the result. Pick it now. Like, I don't care. And then because that's what the rule is. It's not you lose your whole unit. It's not you lose some models. It's your opponent gets to pick what happens. Period. And I think in this case, Erik doesn't really mind losing a Termagant squad or keeping those bloodletters locked in or whatever. I think that if he takes his final 3 turns in 1 minute, as I think he's still technically within the rules to do, as long as he has 11 minutes left on the clock.
I've just had one of the TOs, because he overheard me talking about chess clock rules. They have both agreed that this is the last turn.
Oh,
okay.
Well, if both players agree, then that's that.
Yeah, I was curious about what the players had said and how the TOs would rule the difference between the chess clock and the round timer.
Yeah, I didn't get a clarification on whether or not they still have the chess clock and they get timed out, and or whether or not they're going to go over time. I'm actually not 100% certain exactly how that's going to affect it.
It does kind of favor Lead Master, but I don't think so. I think Erik still on his final turn. I think he still just takes 4 objectives and then ends his turn. I don't think he needs to do much else.
Yeah,
especially if this is the last.
He pretty
turn.
easily gets gets hold more, maybe the bonus point, gets 4 points on ground control.
Yeah, to Leigh's 1. So
Yeah.
with a score like they could be tied, and I think that in points currently, and Erik I think still would pull it out.
Yeah, but I mean, Erik is ahead by a significant chunk, and it's still, not even his turn yet. So Leigh can't pull this one out at this point. There's no result which ends with him winning the game here.
To my mind, Leigh needs to somehow score 7 points this turn for it to even be in question. And 7 points, that would only change the game state if he had a hold more. If he doesn't have hold more, he can't win ground control. And that is only if you can hold the third one and not lose it to Erik in return. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
I think it's 3.
Not really, no.
I think it's a minimum 3, if not 4 for ground control. And on top of that, he'll have hold more and hold 1. If he doesn't get it, so I'm seeing this as a minimum of 5 points to Erik, putting him up to 15. I think it's only going to be about 3 points to Leigh.
So Master Strider's got a question in chat that I'd love to answer. He said, "Is Horde Hammer good to watch on stream?" And honestly, Master Strider, I think it depends on what you're watching in the stream. If you've got amazing commentators like on the Down Under pairing stream, where not only we have Adam and Diffie, but we also have the fabulous Chapter Tactics crew coming on and commentating. I think it can get very fun. I know I personally have had a lot of fun every time I've been on just commentating, and from the few times I listened on Friday. So I think it depends entirely on the stream. I don't think Horde Hammer is a detriment or is that much of a negative to stream 40K, and I don't think it should deter people from both running hordes and also streaming them.
So
you just have
Absolutely.
So I thought about this long and hard with Josh for quite a long time before we started this endeavor. And there's 2 types of sports that get commentated on. There's sports that are exciting, and the sport holds up the commentary, so the sport is just complemented by the commentary. But there are other sports where the commentary props up the action, e.g. things like golf, things like cricket, things like baseball. The commentary brings the depth, brings the interest, the intrigue to what is occurring. Whereas things like basketball has enough action that the commentary does not add much more than the spectacle. Whereas, from my opinion, 40K as a spectacle needs commentary, needs life injected into it, needs the interest and the intrigue.
Yeah, I mean, movement phases can take so long, and they're not even if you had the players mic'd up, unless they're talking about other things besides their movement phase, it gets pretty boring pretty quick.
Yeah, I think the movement phase is when commentators should shine, because that's the easiest thing to see what's going on the table. You can get predictions and all that. It gets really muddy in the shooting phase, especially if the players aren't really pointing to things on camera and they're not mic'd up, because you can't see what things are happening, and then they're just removing models. So that might be a good time to either mic up the players or talk about something else as during the shooting phase, and then you just have an after shooting phase or after charge phase wrap up to explain what happened. I think that's pretty good, but
I honestly don't think that having the players mic'd is actually good most of the time. It is actually a big stress on the players to have to deal with that, because that's actually very hard to do while playing a good game.
So what we did at Vic Masters, we actually had the top table in its own room, and the audio from the webcam was coming through our headset. We could hear them. So when people are playing a stratagem or a psychic power, we get to know what it is, but we took the stress away and said, don't worry, the audio's not going through the stream. You don't have to worry about, controlling a language, which Australians struggle with, which I'm pretty proud of ourselves this weekend. I think it's fair to say the people that have watched our stream since we started in September, we get there's a few expletives that get dropped, like many Australian. I think we'll go with celebrity? No. Many Australians, however, realising that, of course, we're being hosted on a number of more family-friendly channels, or even US-friendly channels, because I know over in the US they get a little bit more antsy about some of the language.
It depends a lot on the people in question, but yeah, there's definitely some people that are not into that. Yeah.
Well, there are words that we would use quite comfortably in our everyday language that in the US people would probably fall off their chair.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple words and phrases that have very different implications based on country.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we can use that, but you see, it's all about the the emphasis, right? And we can use the exact same expletive as an insult or loving phrase.
It's pretty versatile.
You can be either a good something. We'll end that there. I think enough people know what I'm talking about to draw the picture. As far as the game's going here, we're just pretty much. I wouldn't go as far as saying wasting time, but we're pretty much wasting time because we're seeing things that I don't think are going to have a huge impact on the game. So there are attacks being made against Gaunts. I already think both players have Max Reaper. So yes, if you're not quite Max Reaper, then maybe roll the attacks against the Gaunts. But I wouldn't have bothered.
I think the one relevant thing that you are seeing Erik do here is he's trying to retake that bottom objective. It honestly does not change much because I think he still wins the game even without it, but it is relevant to his score and could theoretically matter.
Yeah, to my mind, I did not see Leigh pick up a kill in that turn. So I think he's only going to get kill and whatever he gets for ground control because I believe that they've decided that they're only going to sort out their Gene Stealer combat. That's probably the only thing that's of relevance in this moment. It's just whether or not he retakes that top objective of the OBSEC units.
So he's rolling a lot of dice right now. So the Gene Stealers are pretty much all getting to swing against these Plague Bearers. But there is one Plague Bearer currently sitting on that top objective. He needs those 2 Gene Stealers to that entire Plague Bearer unit across 2 combats.
Yeah. So Leigh's just changing his scores. I don't see anything changing. He hasn't changed any scores. Nothing's been updated. So I believe he's just going to get hold, and then whatever he gets at the end of the game.
I think we will try and do a post-game interview, Master. We have on the others. I don't know exactly what we'll get there.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll have Diffie come back and sit down with Erik and go through after he's finished. Just because I need a pee break again because I've literally drank about 8 bottles of water today.
All right. Well, the round clock is down to 0, and yeah, I'm not 100% certain exactly what the agreement was, but there are no TOs around the table right now, and I mean, yeah.
So it looks like we're just wrapping up. I think he's about to. I think he's just fighting with his bloodletters. I don't think they're bothering to remove models. I think we all know, and they've figured out what's happening. So it's really just about chucking in the final scores, and we're just going to hold tight until they do.
Okay, so just to clarify, they have been allowed to finish the last battle round, and it appears to be not at a time limit. So they're just allowed to last battle round.
So what was that? They're just going to They're just going to finish the turn.
So there's about a minute or so left of actions. So basically, the decision was made because the clock was paused a number of times for the TOs. They're going to have a few more minutes after the round has finished. Which hey, the TOs are still entering the totals paper, so the score sheets into BCP manually. So I mean, even if they finish right now, the score sheets still have to wait a bit. So I'd rather see this game finish at least with the same number of turns, rather than have someone halfway through a turn, get clocked out, and then the other person simply just get to do whatever they want, completely, unimpeded. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and let's just, I just want to repeat this one more time. It is very, very dominant, or Erik's performance is very dominant this weekend. Going 8-0, beating the majority of the players that were in the top 5 in the final round is just crazy. And I don't know if Erik's going to the Las Vegas Open, but I really hope he gets a chance to, just so we can see him perform at the highest level.
Erik's going to represent Australia at ETC this year. However, I don't believe he will be doing LVO. They're just updating scores. I'm not sure if they're finished. Still just trying to get an idea of that. Well, yes, so basically, Erik has just put in kill 1, hold more. Leigh's put in kill 1, hold 1. And I have no idea what they're doing. They're doing so many things. Kind of like a little bit out of sequence. To make sure
I think they're basically like talking out this sort of like this clearly happens, this clearly kills that, because there is a lot of like 13 Termagants attack 2 Plague Bearers, yeah, they kill them.
Yep. But for example, the entire Bloodletters were just picked up. I'm just trying to work out what.
I believe, as the chat has pointed out, that Leigh is on death clock. So he cannot respond to actions at this point.
Yes, very likely, guys. So just thinking here, the only thing that really matters at this stage is whether or not Erik can clear that top objective, which currently has what appears to be 10 to 12 Plague Bearers on it.
I don't think he gets bottom objective, but he should have middle and top.
He should certainly, absolutely right. He should certainly have top objective.
He definitely has the middle one. There's no way he doesn't. There's maybe at best 3 Plague Bearers in range there. The Patriarch has just attacked that same Plague Bearer unit. Old One Eye has just attacked that same Plague Bearer unit. But the center objective is going to be Erik's. I can't see Old One Eye and the Patriarch not clearing 3. Well, I don't know just how big the squad is, but it doesn't look like that many left in that squad.
Yeah, and I don't think he even needs to attack that. I think he just leave combat there. This is the final turn. He can just leave combat there and hold that objective. It looks like he has more models within 3 inches.
Yeah, it could come down to Killmore.
Right?
They're both OBSEC, so then OBSEC is irrelevant.
They are not the Gene... Well, I guess the Termagants, yeah. I was going to say, the Gene Stealers are not OBSEC, they are elite.
No, but the Termagants are.
Yeah, but it's center.
Yeah.
As soon as you have 2 OBSEC units on the objective, it goes back to most number of models. So those Termagants, by themselves, eliminate the OBSEC rule, because so those other models might become relevant, but I guess the bigger thing is it could be to do with Killmore. So at the moment, Killmore has not been into Erik for this round. So they might be saying, well, yeah, cool, you're going to hold more. I'll let you have that. But Killmore, they might be saying, no, you have to earn that because you don't guarantee to kill Plague Bearers.
Sure.
That's easy.
Pablo, can you clarify? You might know this better than I do. Jim Vassal has raised a question that I'm not 100% sure on the answer to. If you are on death clock, that is, you're completely out of time, are you allowed to make attacks with your units that are not included?
No, you're not allowed to. That was actually a big controversy because
Jim was saying that it had been ruled the opposite way at Golden Sprue, but I had not heard anything about that.
Yeah, and obviously Golden Sprue isn't a Frontline Gaming official tournament, and everyone's allowed to change that because it's such a controversial rule. If you were to go by raw, as in actions you must take versus actions that are optional, you would have to make those attacks. Because by raw, you have to make those attacks. You wouldn't be able to consolidate. You wouldn't be able to do any of the other stuff, just the attacks. But to make it easier and to make Death Clock a little more punishing, you cannot make those attacks in Death Clock. You just only make saves.
There's one question that came up before the event, and I can't remember how the ITC got. Was whether or not disgusting resilience, which is not technically a save, you were allowed to roll.
Oh, interesting.
No, that's
matters. I've just got the TOs right in front of me.
That's interesting. That's an interesting raw. I think that goes very much against rules as intended.
Sure. But I mean, technically speaking, yeah, that is correct. Like
they did allow it, just to clarify. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm standing right next to the TO. Yeah. A pre-event ruling was so not this game, just the pre-event. The TOs were asked, and it was decided no, disgusting resilience will be allowed to be rolled. Or sorry, any feel no pain. But
Yeah, it basically any save, anything that stops your model from dying. That's another thing that maybe we could probably look into rewriting some of the chess clock rules so that they include those. I don't think we need to, but just to be on the safe side, I'll have to talk to Chris about that.
I think it's one of those things where, like, the answer for what it presumably is intended to be is relatively obvious, but technically speaking, it's correct. Like, it is not a save, so having that clarification is good. And
exactly. I think if you clarify it before an event, like if, for example, LVO just came out and said, you know what, this is how we're ruling it, we're allowing feel no pain type saves, all right, then you don't have a situation where, right at the pointy end of the game where things are getting really heated, judges get called over, arguments get started. It's just, someone might get it wrong, but then you can go bang. All right,
that is it, guys. We just had the handshake. Scores will be finalised. Sorry to interrupt. Scores are about to be finalised, and it looks like Erik did not clear that top unit. Looks like he only killed like 6 Gene Stealers with all those attacks. Sorry, 6 Plague Bears with all those attacks, which is he must have rolled like a freak. Leigh, but I don't think it's going to matter either way.
Yeah, even if it goes 3-2 for Leigh on the objectives, there's no way for him to pull ahead on score there.
I think it's just 22-13. We're seeing 22-15. That's all she wrote, guys. 22-15. A win to Erik Lathouras, who takes the game, takes the tournament.
Dominant performance.
Absolute dominant performance.
An incredibly good player, yeah.
Nice, fantastic, guys. Come on back, man. Erik Lathouras, our 2019, well, is it 2019 or is it 2018 season? I don't know. Well, it's 2019 Cancon Championship.
2018 season, but
he hasn't won. Sorry, he hasn't won the ITC. He's won the Cancon Championships.
Yeah, he's
won the
your
ITC
Cancon champion.
Yeah.
Question for Diff and Adama. Are you guys going to be streaming the results?
There we go.
I believe Diffie will be live streaming on Facebook the award ceremony.
Yeah. Yes.
Where?
So, just to clarify, I might need to type in the Discord chat. My battery went flat on the phone.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, right, pretty much bang on. Everyone says cheers.
Yep.
Phone dies.
Nice.
So, we may have to say goodbye to the lovely
yes.
guys.
Can they not? Do people not hear them right now?
They might be able to hear them.
Okay.
It'll be a pretty difficult conversation.
So what's going on?
Okay, so unfortunately, you can hear them through here, dude. So as long as you can hear them and relate it to
going.
Erik when he comes up,
yeah,
I think that's fine. So I might give you this headphone and you can work through this, and I'll go chat to Erik and see if he's willing to come over for a quick interview.
All right, let's get this going.
Yeah, we'd love to hear his perspective on this whole tournament and how things turned out.
Boom. Boom. All right. We get rid of that scrub, Adam.
Ooh, snap.
All right. So let's just move some stuff around. Yes, the final scores. Pretty exciting. 22-15. 4 turns. Yeah, I think Erik has just gone 8-0. Massive effort running the gauntlet. Super proud of the little fella, and he is little. So it looks like we've got 55 viewers on the stream. Big thanks to all our sponsors. I'll give them a quick plug. So OTP Terrain are an awesome 3D printing business who do wargaming terrain, and just the overall. Ooh, is that up? Oh, so I don't need this, I can just look? Yeah, I'll just look. You have your iPad. Okay, so, looks like, just hitting refresh. Yes, all right. So, here is the end result. So the award ceremony will be happening shortly, if I can use my words. I'm going to copy and paste a link into the BCP link into the stream chat. So Erik obviously won the event. Jeremy Marigold Martino came second with 7-1 with Deathwatch. Liam Hackett came third with 7-1 Orcs. Hayden Waldock came fourth. Sorry, equal third, I should say. It's an equal third tie. Jeez, we did say that Liam and Hayden might both make the podium. Well, they did. Equal third. And then we've got Aaron Green, who is listed as Imperial Knights. I'm not so familiar with Aaron. Then we have Matt Morrisoli, number 6, Christopher Wright, number 7, which should... so Matt Morrisoli has scored 115.66 ITC points to Christopher Wright's 108.34.
Oh no.
So what's the numbers there, Pablo?
That looks like Matt barely beat out Chris by let me just quick math here.
This could look.
Yeah, it looks like Matt will get a total of 2 ITC points added, whereas Chris unfortunately is not going to get any ITC points added to his because his lowest was 113, I believe.
All right, so that's pretty exciting. I'm excited. Matt number 1, Morrisolio. What have I got? No audio? Someone's saying no audio.
I don't know. We're still hearing you guys, but I'm not sure what's going on your end.
Chat,
can hear you guys.
Can you guys hear Sean and I, or can you hear...
I've just got a
Sounds like-
clarification.
yeah.
So, yeah, audio is working fine. So it looks like we just had potentially someone else had some issues, but geez, this is... we said it was going to be close. We've just got the man, Erik Lathouras. Now it's going to be a little bit complicated here because he's not going to get to hear the chapter tactics guys. So I may have to relay some of the questions, so you'll get a sexy echo. So let's just press that button. All right. Well done.
Thanks, big man.
My man. How you
I
doing?
couldn't let you down.
Couldn't let me
Couldn't
down?
let you down. That's it.
This is my son. I'm not sure if you can tell the family resemblance. Yes. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Did you want to plug your coaching?
Okay. Nah, it's all good.
So for those unfamiliar, because you know what, I'm always up for shameless plugs. For those that are unfamiliar, Erik is one of the members of Godhammer Gaming. You can find them at Godhammer Gaming on Facebook and godhammergaming.com, I think.
No, we don't have a website.
Don't have a website?
We're not that fancy.
You got a blog spot or something?
Yeah, I got a blog.
Okay, go to their Facebook page. It will give you a link to their website. Erik doesn't know what it is. So Erik does articles. A lot of them are about his NIDs. So if you're ever wondering how to do what he's doing with this style of army, a lot of it I think would probably cross over to Orcs as well, or Horde in general.
Pretty much.
Not all of them obviously, but there are a lot of similar processes there. And the Godhammer Gaming guys also do coaching and list advice. So if you want to, hey, this guy, the winner of Cancon 2019, only person to go 8-0.
Tyranids are shit, man.
And apparently Tyranids are rubbish. All right, so what will we do here? Mansky, Godhammer Gaming for life. Yeah, and we've actually got an award ceremony to the left of us that isn't ours, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear that through the audio. Hopefully not. As far as the chapter tactics guys, did you have any questions for Erik?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Pablo.
So Erik,
I'll have to
first
repeat
off, congratulations, buddy. Dude, tell him congratulations.
Congratulations.
Cheers, guys.
And you know, he has such an interesting army just in the grand scheme of things. It's not an army that wins in the shooting phase. It's not an army that wins in the assault phase. It's an army that wins in the movement phase. Why did you go with this particular army this season? And do you feel like it's the best way to play ITC missions and 40k in general, or I guess the best way to win ITC missions in general is to just stick to that movement phase horde?
All right.
Or is this just more your style?
That's like a 20-minute question.
That's a big question for me to repeat. All right, so here's what we're going to do, because this is a bad format. I'm going to swap headsets.
and not repeat the questions. So I wish
Yeah,
get Pablo to
my
repeat
bad,
that
guys.
question.
There you go. How you doing?
Hey,
What's up, Erik? Erik, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, vaguely.
Vaguely? Okay. Do you need me to talk louder?
It should be all good.
Mouse. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Don't
Erik.
mind.
So first off, congratulations, buddy. It's a very, very dominant performance.
Thanks, man.
And one thing I love about your list is that it doesn't win in the shooting phase, it doesn't win in the assault phase, it wins in the movement phase primarily, and I love the way you move your models. Your leave no gaunt behind approach to movement is absolutely brilliant. Do you think this list is the list to run, or the style of list to run to win ITC missions, or is this just how you play?
It's tough. It's obviously pretty strong, but it's getting pretty hard with all the anti-horde coming out, like all the bolters and stuff now stacking up against all the toughness 3 hordes. Makes it a bit rougher, and you can't really do the same thing with orcs because they're only going to get on top through their damage. So probably I don't know if I'd pick it to be the list to run for ITC format, but just happen to do well, I guess.
I think it's fair to say
Okay.
you've really got to be on point with movement.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
speed you've got your games in. I don't think this is a list that easily correlates to just go, all right, I play Nids, I could play this list.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Like, you have to really practice.
Yeah, so any small sort of fuck up is like it's pretty unforgiving. You can turn around and lose half your army in a turn. It's pretty rough. It's not really any coming back from there.
All right. Sean?
I mean, Erik kind of covered part of the question I was going to ask already, which is we had talked some earlier about how you match up against orcs, and I had heard word that you might be switching the army out because of orcs. Is that the case? Do you know where you're going forward from here?
Probably going to try some more tougher builds, to be honest. With this list that I brought to Cancon is between this one and a list with 40 warriors. So I think warriors might be where I go going forward in more tournaments. They're pretty solid.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've seen some really good players do some neat stuff with warriors recently. One of the guys I played on the Charity Hammer stream was running a heavy audio, a heavy warrior list and was doing pretty well with it. So I think there's room for them to suddenly become a thing in the meta these days.
Yeah, definitely. They're amazing. I ran them at Men's Masquerade. I ran 27 of them. They were pretty solid. They're just good at everything, but not great at anything.
Yeah, and they're cheap enough now that you can run big blocks of them without just completely ruining yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 36 is a nice number.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
So one other question, Erik, before I let you go. I heard through the grapevine that we will not be attending the Las Vegas Open this year, which is completely understandable, but a shame. If you were to attend the LVO, though, what would you run? How would you change your list?
Well, that's a tough one. Probably have to wait and see how things kind of develop a little bit, I guess. But I'd probably go the Warriors for something like LVO. I think it's just easier against Horde, easier to use Warriors than fight 180 Plague Bearers with gaunts. So.
Although you wouldn't see
Yeah,
the same play.
that's fair. And the warriors actually really love if you get that prime in there. They can actually beat down on things with that -1 to hit pretty good.
But as far as Horde goes, I mean, yes, you'll probably see more Orc Horde than you will probably
Okay.
Horde.
Oh, that's not too bad then.
All right, Erik. Sean, do you have any more questions?
No, I think that really hits the main couple of points. Huge congratulations to Erik for doing such a fantastic job and indisputable victory.
Absolutely. Erik, thanks for talking to us, man.
Not really. No worries. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
All right, so we'll just switch.
Cheers, bro. Love you, mate. That's right. Oh, you want on? You good? All right. Well done, son. Okay, so we're gonna probably wrap this up because we've got a fair bit of packing up to do. But want to say a big thanks to a whole bunch of people. We're going to start with the guys that are on the stream with us right now. I feel as though doing something a little different with having Chapter Tactics on, it's really interesting to see especially the meta differences between obviously Australia, US, Canada. What I'd really like to do is potentially for another event get a couple of the guys from the Chapter Tactics on, and then maybe get a couple of the guys that we've had a good chats with this weekend from the Honest Wargamer, and then start getting to compare, the UK scene, the US scene, and the Australia scene all on the one stream. I think that would be pretty awesome. What do you guys think?
That'd be amazing.
That would be super cool.
100% what we want us to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we really have to make sure we get our head around, I think for a lot of it, Discord worked pretty well for us. I'd like to have a bit more of a play with one of the issues we really had is whoever had the main headset, we were really struggling to get the audio to work perfectly. I'm not sure if that's because the mic was going both through the stream and through Discord. We might even try a few different options, but we will test that out, not at an event.
Yeah, I think that definitely, we need to sort some of that out, but that's just common to any kind of streaming, is the audio is always a nightmare.
Yeah, I think we did test out the Discord option. The problem we had was we were testing it while Adam was in Ballarat and I was in Melbourne. The biggest issue we had was literally when we were sitting next to each other. I think generally speaking it wasn't too bad when we were not near each other, which is why I stayed off camera for as long as I did. But now you're all mine.
Ooh, Jiffy.
We really appreciate you having us on here. It's as much fun for us and as interesting to us to see how your tournaments play out and the kind of list people are bringing as it is the other way around.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, it's also worth pointing out, I've been asked the question a lot of late of whether or not I prefer to stream or play. Look, it is a hard question, but I'm loving streaming. We've been doing it since September, and it is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, for Pablo and I, it's not even a choice between the two of them here. We get to watch you guys play and, stream here in an event we couldn't possibly attend.
Yep.
But then we also get to go off and play whatever other games we play normally.
Yep. I don't know about you, Sean. I've been playing a major this entire time in my living room.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm undefeated and winless.
I can say I only played one game this weekend, so.
Thanks, Preferred Enemy, for the burn. I'm assuming that's good friend of the show, Adam Trapevsky. He helped out at Vic Masters. No, sorry, the final event of Eightfold Path, and was sitting in my seat. After that comment, I might not let you back on. And thank you, Mansky. Mansky knows where it's at. All right, so we will probably be, as I said, wrapping this up now. We will hopefully we'll be looking at doing some more work with. Oh no, not we hope to. I think it's fair to say we will definitely be doing more work with the team at Chapter Tactics going forward. Depending on how much they want to have us on their podcast and how much they want to come over on the stream. But I can tell you now, they're welcome anytime they want to come on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'd love to be back anytime you can have us. Schedules permitting, of course, because I go to enough events that gets in the way of other things. But anytime I'm available, I'd love to come down.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I think this relationship is good for streaming in general, but also head on over to frontlinegaming.org, listen to Chapter Tactics. Within the next couple of weeks, Adam, Josh, myself, and Val, or any combination of us, are going to talk about Cancon and the results and stats and everything for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we have a ton of this stuff, of score sheets that we have to manually enter into a system, but we'll get there, and we will have some unbelievable stats for you for a post-Cancon review. And then what I'd really love to get on with, obviously the team from Chapter Tactics, is potentially a post-LVO review. And look, you might not have the same stats, but it'll be interesting to see if we can start seeing at least maybe some of the high-level stuff. So obviously, win-loss by faction is still something you'll be able to see. Oh, geez. Here's trouble.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Walduck, who's... we're just going to... so we're going to wrap up. For the question there, we will go over to Facebook to do the live streaming of the awards. So don't forget to head over to
later,
Down
guys.
on the Network on
Later,
Facebook.
dudes.
And we're going to let the Chap Chatties guys go. This goodbye has been very long. Love you guys.
Love you too,
Thanks
man.
a ton.
All right. Let's, so, bang. All right. So we have a big shout out to OTP Terrain. So they've been big sponsors. They do awesomely some awesome 3D printed terrain from 6mm to 32mm gear. Don't forget to head over to their website, www.otpterrain.com. They've got a massive 15% off sale until... What are you doing? All right. So Walduck, for those that were wondering, were the one that had the Down on Network logo on his head when we streamed him. Yes, head over to otpterrain.com and don't forget to enter OTP 15% in the shopping cart to get 15% off all your goods. We will have a number of vouchers to give out. $25. Go away. I'm just having to shoo some people away. Yes. Don't forget 15% off till the 1st of Feb. 6mm to 32mm terrain. So whether that be scattered terrain, big cathedrals, massive crane. I'll try and get some Facebook Live footage of that as well. So don't forget, head over to Down on the Network on Facebook, and I'll live stream some of that gear as well. Another big shout out to the Army Painter for their support. So we're going to probably do some more streaming of my Orc build for Ark, where you'll see how to use some of the Army Painter products in Australian heat, which is hot and requires a little bit more consideration when you start using primers and the matte varnish. It's getting quite loud here. So yes, they're the sponsors. Chapter Tactics, In the Finest Hour podcast, 40kstats.com. Big thanks to FLG for hosting us. Big thanks to Best in Faction podcast for hosting us. Big thanks to Canhammer for if they eventually host us on the third day. And Diff, go and get a beer. You deserve it. I think I do as well. Let's see if there are any final questions before I wrap it up. No, that's it. So Totally Not Panics, bang, he gets another set of the 10 dice for not even having to bump in. Actually, no one actually gets a dice because no one had any cheers today, so bad luck. So we've got 10 dice going to Mandalore Knight from Auckland, New Zealand. We have 10 dice going to Panics, and we have 2 tickets going for RatCon on April 6th, 7th, and Adam and I were going to discuss who gets that, but Adam is missing. So we will discuss that, and we'll do a post shortly. But it is epic, and don't do me dirty like this, Diffie. That's it. We're going to wrap up. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you over on Facebook. And peace out.